Hey guys, welcome to Future Creatures DTF. I am your host, Jordana, and I am joined by our co host, Sam.
Hello.
Hello, Sam. How's it?
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, we're doing a 90s episode, so I already got to get a 90s reference in.
And it's funny because I've never seen an episode of Seinfeld, but I know that's Seinfeld.
Oh, you'll get familiar among this episode.
I'm excited. So tonight we are diving into the year of 1994, like aged wine.
Yes, so I immediately had the regret. I'm like, I should have dressed like super 90s. I should have got my flannel out. I should have I should have did it. Didn't think about it.
I was like wanting to do the dark lipstick and do like the I was gonna do the same thing. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna throw on a flannel.
Yeah, I'm good with that. But so what are we doing here today as far as as far as what we're gonna get into?
So we wanted to like hit the years, hit the decades in the past because there's, a lot of amazing stuff to talk about. So we had everyone poll and they picked 1994. So we have, of course, a range of questions that we're going to ask each other and we're going to talk about 94.
Yeah. 1994. It's not the one I'm honestly shocked. It is the one that because we're going to talk about it. I voted as well. I got one vote.
Yeah.
And I voted for 1994. And when I voted, like the number was like, it was like, I think I was like the only one who voted for 1994 at that point. And
I think
it
you were
won.
too.
And it won. And I was very surprised because I was like, the whole reason I picked it was I was like, I feel like, because I think the other ones were like 96 and 98. And I'm like, those are a little more like, I feel like we already had locked and loaded answers for those,
Exactly. And like, so the way that I did the poll was I did even numbers. So I did 92, 94, 96, 98, because like 92 seemed kind of like, I don't know,
weird
like
one.
I didn't really remember too much from it. 94. I think I picked 98.
And I mean, I would have been happy with any of them, but I was just kind of shocked. The reason I thought 94, I voted for it was like, it's not one that I instantly had something that came to my mind in any single one of these categories. Now, one of them ended up being a glaring exception to that because I'm stupid, but
You're not.
But they're like with 96 and 98, which we may do later on, who knows.
Yeah.
It's just I was just like in my head, I was already like, I got things firing. I'm like, I kind of want to like I feel like the same. We had to do research for this one.
And like some of the stuff I found, I was like, oh, that was not, you know what I mean? Because I thought it was like a different year.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. I don't know why.
And then when I found some stuff, I was like, oh my God, that was a really good year for certain things.
Yeah. And then in other things, I was like, my God, this year sucked.
I know. I was the same way. I'm like, oh, this is all that happened.
Yeah. So I mean, I feel like we should start off with the glaring here. We need to show the fact that we are not youngins anymore. How old were you when? I know I'm not supposed to ask that, but I feel like in this situation I can. How old were you during 1994? And I will answer the same.
I was a whopping 8 years old.
Yep, and I was a whopping 6. So
I love it.
It's also an interesting year. Like I was telling you before we started recording, is that some of these questions I came at from the eyes of a child, like, oh, this is what I, thought of around that time. And then other ones, it would have been impossible. And I had to be like, well, looking back as, a 34-year-old, God, I almost forgot how old I was.
I know.
Anyway, so I think this is going to be fun. This is your baby. This is your idea. So I'm excited to try it out here.
Me too.
And I think I hope this is good. And I'm just saying this before, because I really think it'll be interesting to pick a year when we weren't alive. Like that will be very strange.
I want to do, so if I feel like this one was exciting because I feel like when you talk about nostalgia and like years that we were so young, it's fun to talk about and it's fun to look at it in a different perspective.
Oh, I mean, 100%. I mean, how much of pop culture today is just based on nostalgia? We are in like a nostalgia uprising where I mean it's I feel like people in their even their like 20s and 30s and beyond are
Yeah.
all they're doing is like, they're reliving their stuff, and then just and movies and TV shows and shit are just getting rehash. I mean, I just saw there's a Night Court remake coming out, and I'm like,
Oh my God.
who was asking for it? I'll watch it, but who was asking for it? Like,
Who demanded this? Like, who
yes,
is watching this? It's just weird to me because, like, I don't know. To have people like talk about 30 years ago or like the amount of time and have it now being the 90s and that looking back is like, I don't want to say vintage, but do you know what I mean? It makes me, it's like, I feel slighted because I'm like, oh my God, like I feel so, oh, I love the memories. And then I feel super old and I don't like it.
I mean, 100%. I mean, even in recent years, I recently was like some movie, I forget what it was. It was like the first one came out in 2017, and there's some new one coming out this year. And I'm like, well, 2017 wasn't that long ago. And like it dawns on me, I'm like, oh fuck, that was already like, I'm like, ah, shit.
I know. And I'm already having like a middle life crisis. So, because I'm getting closer and closer to 40. Like I'm going to be 37 on Friday. And the other day we were laying in bed. My husband's like, thank you. He's like, honey. I'm like, what? He's like, how does it feel, to know that you're going to be 40 soon? And I'm like, fuck you.
You're like, it sounds like I'm sleeping alone tonight is what it sounds. That's what it feels like.
Get the fuck out of this bed. I was so angry because it was so sweet. I'm like, he's going to say something nice. And then he hits me with, I'm going to be almost 40.
Yeah. Yeah. Trust.
But,
I get the same thing. My partner is younger than me, so
yeah.
I get it.
And it, but you know what? I feel like it's all on how you take it and how, like, being a kid at heart still. Because I don't feel like I'm getting super old.
I don't think you ever really truthfully do if you
No.
don't let yourself. There's a podcaster I listen to, and he's like 60. He's like 63, and like
Wow.
he's still. He's someone who's been in the media. I'm a wrestling fan. All right, it's his name's Eric Bischoff. For listeners, if you know who that is, you know who that is. He's been around for forever, and he's like, I'm 60, but he's like, I don't feel 60. He's like, you feel as old as you are, and and I don't. When I'm listening to him, I'm not like, this is an old man. Like,
I could fall asleep.
yeah,
No.
So.
Yeah. So this will be fun. I'm really excited to do this, and I really do want to do like 70s, 80s. I mean, I don't know if we want to go back to the 60s because that's like the decade I would want to be in, like 60s, 70s.
I would try. It would take more research to do, but it would be just as fun and rewarding to be like, all right, like I have to answer that. Like, because if you ask me, like, who's the, like, well, I don't want to spoil one of our questions here, but it's just, I will know off, like, I wouldn't know those answers off the top of my head.
No, you'd have to do a lot of research for that.
Yeah. Like, I mean, it's just not my thing. I mean, the 70s I could do maybe, but 60s I'd be like, what the fuck? I'd have to look up everything. Either way, I think we should jump into this 90s wonderful rich episode, because knowing us, we only have 8 questions. That's probably going to take quite a while.
3 hours. Buckle up. It's going to be 3.5 hours.
Yes, and we may or may not have a little game planned, but we'll see how long these 8 questions take.
Permitting everything goes smoothly with our new recording platform. So we'll keep our fingers crossed. So
fuck Zencastr. That's my anti-ad of the week. I think I'm going to do that every week. Fuck Zencastr. They are not paying me money for this. They can pay me money, but I will say until I say this every single week, I will say this. That is the ad for this.
I had no problems before, and I would tweet, I'd be on Twitter and I'd say like, oh, I use Zencastr and I love it. And they'd like it and they would respond. But like,
well, I hope they don't like it and respond to this.
No, because fuck that. That was horrible. That was the worst. All right. So I'm going to start by asking you. So 94 for movies. There was quite a bit that came out that year. So why don't you hit us with your top 3 movies of 94?
Okay. So this is the one that had a glaring one that when I voted for it, it wasn't like I was planning on it.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna knock my number one right out of the gate because I touched on it last episode and I've touched on it on previous things we've done together.
Yep.
Clerks is my second favorite movie of all time.
Yes.
So Clerks came out in 1994. Didn't even realize it. It felt later to me, but it
Yeah.
is 94. I'm going to be real light on that one because I've already touched on it. I just love the movie. I love dialogue-driven movies. I love
Yep.
a movie that's able to be so basic yet so entertaining. It launched the career of Kevin Smith, who I'm a huge fan of, and also it like, I don't know, it's just really funny, and I like it. And also like as someone who worked in that industry, you know, and still sort of does to a degree, it's something that I can relate to. And basically is that the customer is, to quote his next movie, the customer is always an asshole, and that will ring true forever.
Cheers to that. I agree.
Now on to 2 movies that I haven't touched on before. My second favorite movie of the year 1994 would have been The Crow.
Oh, that's a good choice.
Yes, The Crow. When I was a little kid, like when I first started to watch like what I would consider like adult movies, like
Mhm.
like because Ninja Turtles would have been it, but kind of a kids movie.
Right.
My 2 most watched movies were The Crow and Demolition Man. Great for different reasons.
Yes.
But The Crow is just fucking awesome. I still to this day think it's great. I'm not surprised they're remaking it, but I am one of those people that's kind of like, I don't want to be that person who's like, you know, don't remake movies. But then I'm like, why do you got to remake that one?
I agree with you though. I don't think that I'm not saying I don't think it's necessary, but something as good as that, just leave it. Do something else. Even if you kind of like cliff note it and do something else like The Pigeon.
Yeah, I would watch a movie called The Pigeon about a man who's resurrected by a pigeon. That would be awesome.
Yeah. Just walking around saying coo coo.
I really love that movie. It is a comic book movie, but it doesn't truthfully feel like it. It's super 90s. I mean, it's so 90s. The fucking soundtrack is just like, it's all like prog rock and industrial rock.
Yeah.
It's fucking badass. Brandon Lee is great. Tragedy, of course, struck him.
Mhm.
But God, I just fucking love that movie. I even have like a tattoo for it. It probably won't show up on camera, but I have a dead crow, and it says it can't rain all the time. Like, I fucking love that movie.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's a good choice.
Yeah, definitely a personal favorite of mine. And then number 3, I went a different direction. There was a movie I considered, but I was like, I want to go, you know, something that I just think people wouldn't expect. Have you ever seen Airheads?
I fucking love that movie. Brandon
Yes.
Fraser, Adam Sandler, Steve
Yes.
Buscemi.
Yes.
We were gonna be them for Halloween this year.
That would be great.
Yeah, but that's a chef's kiss. That's such a good movie.
All right, I just want to know, who would you be, your husband and the other one?
I was going to be oh my god, I'm drawing blank. Adam Sandler's
Well, he's Pip in the movie.
Pip, yes. And then Brandon Fraser was,
oh, I don't even know if I remember his.
But I was gonna be him with the long hair, the leather coat, and then Greg was gonna do the beanie, the cut off. Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, I love that movie. It's so funny. It's especially funny if you've ever been in a band or been around a bit, like friends with musicians, or you know, just really into like a certain scene. Because whether or not that like obviously like that type of music would not translate to today, but I think that if a struggling musician today could watch that and be like, yeah, I fucking get it. It like, it sucks, you know, playing show after show for basically the other bands and their girlfriends, and nobody wants to listen to us.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's the epitome of that band life,
Yeah. And it's
but with
just so
amazing.
yeah,
Yeah.
and if you don't know what this movie is, by the way, because this one's a little lesser known than like The Crow and I would even say Clerks. It's a
Yeah.
movie about three struggling rock musicians. They're in a band and they just want to get their song on the radio, so they break into a radio station with squirt guns filled with hot sauce, and they take it hostage and just to get their song played, and it snowballs from there. And David Arquette's in it, and he's fucking great. And
Oh,
Joe
yes.
Montana's in it, and he's fucking Mantanga. I can't say his name.
Yeah.
It's so funny, and just a really really fun, good movie that it's super silly in '90s, and if you love '90s like thrash rock, it's got a great fucking soundtrack.
It's perfect. It's so goddamn good. And I want to watch that now.
No, it's good one, and great cameos. Like Lemmy shows up for like 6 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a super fun movie that I think anybody can appreciate, and especially with Brendan Fraser having like a renaissance right now, a Brendan Sance.
Oh yeah.
If you
Totally.
haven't seen it, I strongly recommend it. If you're a Brendan Fraser fan, I think you will quite enjoy it.
It's like when he was in his prime. I love him.
Adam Sandler recently told a story, and I couldn't tell if it was true or not, if he was being tongue in cheek, but him and Brendan were on a show where it
Yeah.
was like an internet show where it was like they interviewed each other. Like that was the
Oh,
whole show.
yeah.
And like they were talking about Airheads. And according to Adam Sandler, he said like they didn't want you, Brendan, for this role. He's like, I saw Encino Man and was like, this kid's good. He can do more than be, just the caveman. Like he can do
Yeah.
this. And then like supposedly Adam Sandler like showed up drunk at the guy's house, like the producer, and was like, he's like, listen, if he's not fucking doing the movie, I'm not doing the movie. And then like he got the role. So whether or not that's true or not, it's a nice story that shows that Adam Sandler is, by all accounts, a pretty good person.
Yeah, and I could totally see that happening. So I want to believe that that's true.
Yeah. So
I love Adam Sandler.
me too. Adam wasn't even gigantic at that time, but he was clearly a breakout star from SNL and whatnot. So
Yeah.
so those are my three movies, and I'm curious if you're gonna pick the one that I wanted to include. So I'm ready to hear, what are your three top movies of 1994?
This
1994. I
this
feel like
was
we gotta do the 90s voice a lot right now.
we
Coming
have
this
to.
fall.
You didn't think it was going to happen, but it did.
Jordan's picks.
You're not going to guess any of my picks. You might, but I
Okay.
feel like I'm throwing like major curveballs. So the first one
Your number one?
is my number one because I feel like it was the most watched one of 94. And it was a pretty well-known comedian, but it was The Mask.
Yeah.
I mean, and I know it's so cheesy because like Dumb and Dumber came out that year.
It was one I wanted to include on my list. If it was a 5, it would have hit my spot.
Oh yeah. And I just like immediately thought of it because Jim Carrey was like a force to be reckoned with in 94.
Yes.
Love that man. He was
everything about that movie.
Yeah, just the slapstick, the singing, like the musical numbers, Cameron Diaz. You know what I mean? Like just all of it was so perfect, and I love it.
Well, you're right, and the cartoon aspect of it, it really felt like, to me, it was like the next step of like Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Like it was a cartoon that came to life.
Yes, like Dick Tracy almost, but like jacked up with a green mask.
And better.
And way better.
But I mean, there's a thing you gotta touch on there is Cameron Diaz in that movie is holy shit.
Like she was ridiculous. And I loved her. Like I thought she was fantastic. I thought they had great chemistry. I thought he was, that whole down in the dumps, nothing ever goes his way type dude. And then he's crazy and he's bouncing off the wall and he's shooting at old women. And I for 8 years old, I thought it was fucking hilarious. So
good.
But also too, like to counteract that, then he hits us with Dumb and Dumber, one of the best comedies of our
Absolutely.
time.
I
So,
mean, the 90s were, I mean, he's still doing it today, but the 90s were his decade. Like,
oh, absolutely. And did you watch In Living Color? Did you ever watch him on that?
yeah, of course I know, what's his name? Safety officer, whatever the
Fire
fuck.
Marshal Bill.
Fire Marshal Bill. That's what it was. Yeah, yeah.
Oh my God. I used to watch it because of him, because I was obsessed with Jim Carrey. I thought he was the best thing ever. And when he would do that, and then oh my God, what was the one, the weightlifter? And he was like the muscle building chick, and he would wear the little pink bikini.
Not ringing a bell on that one.
Oh my God, I gotta find it.
There's
Venus.
two things I remember from In Living Color, and it is
Yep.
Fire Marshal Bill, and then it's Homie Don't Play That, the fucking mean clown. Those are the two things I remember from In Living Color. I remember enjoying it, but it's I was also like probably too young to, probably shouldn't have been watching it.
Same. And that's my disclosures. All some of the stuff that I'm going to say, I probably should not have been watching, but I definitely did. So, okay. So we hit with comedy, and then we're going to take a swerve back to like who you know me as, horror, primarily. Wes Craven's New Nightmare.
All right.
And that, like, okay, so I don't really care for Freddy Krueger. Like, not saying I don't care for him, but he is just not, like my go-to horror villain.
Yeah.
And I was scared of him when I was younger, so I don't think I watched as much, and I didn't get like desensitized to him.
I think that makes sense. I think as a villain of like the big three, I think he to a child would be the scariest.
And yeah,
He's the most like a monster, and and he's got personality. He's not just like a guy who stands there or slowly walks at you. Like,
yeah.
yeah, I
And
can see that.
and he like does like kills you during the time that we don't want to sleep. Like, I never wanted to sleep when I was a kid.
Yeah, I mean, he essentially is the boogeyman. Like,
Right.
and I believe that's actually what he originally titled the movie, was the boogeyman.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, 100%. I get that. Actually, as a small tangent, ding.
Here we go.
Do you know who I was most terrified of as a child? Well, all right. Yeah, I'll say, but I was most terrified of as a child of all the classic killers of the 80s and 90s.
I'm going to take a wild guess.
Let's hear it.
And I'm not trying, if it's not it, I'm not trying to offend you.
Oh, I'm going to get so offended, Jordana. You don't even know.
Well, I'm saying it. It's Chucky.
It absolutely was Chucky.
Yes, I knew it, because Chucky scared the shit out of me too.
Chucky he's terrifying as a child because you're surrounded. It's like so in the later in the years, you have Toy Story where it's like, wow, wouldn't it be great if all my toys came to life? But Woody ran only because Chucky walked. And Chucky walked with a big fucking knife, and he was foul-mouthed, and I was terrified of him. But I still loved horror, so I watched them all.
Yes, I did the same.
Do you want to know something crazy that I feel like this is what podcasts are for, like dealing with emotional trauma and your own stupidity as from the past.
Yes, of course.
I had a sleepover one night, and my friend slept over, and I don't even know how old we were, probably around the fucking year we're talking about. And I used to have, I don't know if you know them. They were called I think they're called like My Wrestling Buddies or whatever. Like, they were basically like pillows that were like in the shape of wrestlers.
Oh yes, I do.
And like the really expensive ones were like, because I had like a Hulk Hogan one where like if you punched him in his arm, he'd be like, "You're breaking my arm, brother." Like,
that's amazing.
For whatever reason, we must have watched one of them the night that night, and my buddy, like, he was like, "Dude, you got to shut up. Like, I want to go to sleep." And I'm like, "I'm too afraid. I can't sleep." He's like, "Would this make you feel better?" And he grabbed like a big like needle that I don't know where he found or why it was around a bunch of children.
Yeah.
And he went up to all like the rest, because he brought his and I brought mine, and he like stabbed every single one of them. Like, and he's like, "Does that make you feel better?" And I was like, "A little bit. Thank you for being a great friend." Like,
thank you for taking care of this.
Yeah,
I appreciate you.
That was my best friend until I was like, until he moved away. That was, and I was like, "You get me, brother."
Oh
You
my
get
God.
me, brother.
Brother. But that's awesome to do. I would have never thought that. If I were the friend, I'd just be like, shut up and go to bed.
I mean,
No, I'm just kidding.
I think that's what motivated it. It wasn't. I don't know if it was necessarily done out of kindness, but it worked.
But no, I get it. Chucky was like 2 threw me over the edge when he was in the toy store and the dude got his eyeballs. He got the fucking eyeballs put in. I was
Yep.
like, oh my God. Like just him and Freddie. I
I think
forced.
for children, they're the scariest.
Yes, and then, like, so with Wes Craven's New Nightmare, though, having it come back and be like, "Oh, Wes has this new idea and Freddy's back," and I was just like, "Oh my," like, I was terrified of it, but I watched it and I loved it, like, the part where the girl's on the ceiling and he's talking to the little boy and he's like, "Ever play Skin the Cat?" And I was like, "Holy fuck." Like, remember that scene?
Oh, I remember it.
Oh
There's a
my
lot.
God.
There's distinct things about that movie that I remember. It's not one of my like if I'm gonna watch a Freddy movie, my
Yeah.
go-to is 1, 3, and 4.
Yes.
Dream Child, Dream Warrior, I really like, and then the rest I kind of just sprinkle in what I watch and what I don't watch.
Right.
I will say that what I like about New Nightmare is it is totally different, but
Yes.
it's so Wes, especially in that time frame of the 90s. It when Wes was really into doing like wall breaking, basically Scream, like
Yes.
like self-parodying, and that's what that entire movie is about. It's about them making a movie about like Nightmare on Elm Street, which it's the closest you're gonna get to another Wes Craven Scream movie, because it's kind of what it
Yes.
was, just with
And
a
I
monster.
And I think that's why I appreciated it, because I was just like, this is new, like, this is like an awesome take on it, and, like, what, the next year we got Scream. So you
Yeah,
could see, like, he was, where he
he
was going.
he was honing an idea, I think.
Yeah. So,
Um,
I love that. And Heather Langenkamp, or yes, that's her.
I don't know how to say it, but yeah.
I just like I loved seeing her be tough and then being super scared, because I feel like that was me through the whole movie, because I'm like, oh, fuck, and then she has to be tough for Dylan, and, like, the scene of the husband's, funeral, and, like, oh, just so many images burned into my brain, and being 8, I was just like, "Holy," like, I love horror, but I'm scared to death.
One of the small things I remember about that movie, I remember watching it like when I didn't see it in theaters, and I may have not even seen it in 1994. I may have seen it a few years later. I remember watching it like on TV, like, which if you're a listener in your 20s, we used to have to wait for the movies to come out on TV to watch them, or rent them in the movie theater or
Yeah,
the movie store.
yeah, you couldn't just watch it on demand, you had to go.
I remember being pretty scared of that, watching it with my parents. I remember distinctly there's a scene where where the little boy is like under the blankets, and he's like, but it's like he can't get out. The blankets like go on forever or whatever.
Yeah.
And yeah. And then the thing that really freaked me out as a kid is, I don't know, this is such a small thing, but I remember it distinctly,
Mhm.
is he had a stuffed dinosaur. It was
Yep.
like, and I had the exact same stuffed dinosaur as a kid, and like in the movie, Freddy slashes the dinosaur, and then I think that
Rex.
like Heather has to like sew it up or whatever. But for
Mhm.
whatever reason, just like your child brain is just like, I have that fucking toy, that could happen to me. Like,
Yeah, and that's how I, like, distinguish things back then, was like, this could happen. Like, I knew in my mind, I'm like, "This can't be real," but I'm like, "Maybe it is. Maybe this could happen."
you're like, this is not it. It kind of, but it almost happens today, still today. Think about it. I don't want to give too much away here, and if this is not something you want to disclose, we can
Yep.
edit this out. But was it earlier today? You were like, I was watching Dawn of the Dead, and then I heard a noise in or I'm sorry, the dog was barking at something that wasn't there, and then you're like, the smart part of your brain's like, nothing's there, and then you're like,
Yeah.
but what if it is? What if it is?
Honestly, I'm not even shitting you, because I was like, you sent me the voice message, and I'm like, "Thank God someone's actually communicating with me," because it sounded like someone got up upstairs. Like, it sounds like when someone gets out of bed, and I heard that, and I'm like, "No," because my kid was in school, my husband's at work, I'm like, "No, no one's here." But and then last night, my dog was acting super weird, and my husband was like, "Oh, when you were in the shower, we heard something, like, towards the closet." And he was all freaked out. And I'm like, what do you think? Like, should I go get the sage stick? Like, do we need to cleanse this house? And then the dog was laying in between the doorway. Like, and he never does. He was just laying there. I'm like, what the fuck? So I don't know. I'll keep you guys posted because
Oh, can we, yes, I want to get the weekly updates on the poltergeist at Jordana's house.
Sam, I'm not even kidding. Like, you would be the first person. Like, I wouldn't even know what to do. And I've had weird experiences here too. Like the first time I actually recorded by myself for my podcast before I even like dropped an episode, I was sitting down here and I was talking about the Haunted Mansion and I looked upstairs and I thought I saw someone like walk by. And after I went upstairs, I was talking to Greg. I'm like, were you downstairs? He's like, no. And Roz was like, my kid was in her bed sleeping. And I swear to you, it looked like something walked by.
Well, we'll have to see if we have to get the Ghostbusters out.
We'll do a live and track the ghost of my house. Okay, but so the last one, you would never even think of this one. But it really like introduced me to thrillers, I guess. And it was Speed.
Hey, Speed's a great movie.
Like Dennis Hopper at the end getting his head fucking ripped off by the train sign and just like Keanu and Sandra's I just love Speed.
Oh, Speed's awesome. Keanu looks great in it. It looks like a hunky star.
Oh yeah.
Sandra's great in it as well. Has one of the worst fucking sequels of all time, but like it's a great movie.
Was Speed 2 the boat?
Yeah, Speed 2 was the boat where Keanu didn't want to come back, so they replaced him with Patrick. Somebody Patrick. That's how Kirkpatrick. I don't fucking know what his name is.
Oh my god.
He was some 90s heartthrob, and people fucking hated it because they're like, well, the whole movie, the first one was them being, together, and now they're not together, and there's this new fucking guy, and it was terrible. But
I remember being like so stoked for that and then being extremely disappointed. But I don't know what it was about Speed. I had it on VHS. My grandparents hated the fact that I was watching rated R movies, but and it was a toss up because it was Speed. And then I'll tell you like my almost contender. Did you already tell me your almost contender?
Nope.
Okay. So real quick, my almost contender was Serial Mom.
Okay. All right. John Waters, I believe, did that one.
I think so. And Matthew Lillard was in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember the quirkiness of it, just how fucking hilarious, but kind of dark it was. So, and that was like my little secret watch. So
yeah, I mean, that's not one that like it's definitely a cult classic.
Yes.
It's gonna bother me now. I gotta look up who directed that movie though. I think it was John Waters. Anyway, mine would have been, it was John Waters. Okay. Who else would make a movie that fucking weird? Before we get to yours for that, because you wanted my almost pick, or no,
yes.
It was it would have been Pulp Fiction.
Oh, I'm good. No, I was gonna say something, but just
let's go.
So I've watched Pulp Fiction in like bits and pieces, but I've never fully watched it. Like I've watched it.
All right.
But like that's one that I have to, like that and The Godfather and like Goodfellas I have to watch because I feel like those are cinematic musts. Like you have to watch those.
If you like crime movies, I mean, those are like 3 of the biggest. But if you're not a big crime movie fan, then no, I'd say skip them. Definitely not. I'm not someone that says you have to watch it.
Yeah.
I'm a big Quentin Tarantino fan. I love everything he's done, minus, and I'm gonna get hate for it, but I gotta speak my truth. I don't like the Kill Bill movies. Couldn't give a shit about them.
Yeah.
But no, Pulp Fiction is just it's to me, it's beginning to end. I think it's just a masterpiece. But
yeah.
And I believe, so the way I did this list, I don't know if you did it yourself. I went on to IMDb and I found you can do 1994 and you can do search by popularity, like what's the most popular from that.
Oh,
I think Pulp Fiction was the number one most popular, like as far as what fans like have upvoted and downvoted and shit.
yeah.
It was like I think it was like Pulp Fiction and then like Forrest Gump was like next.
Oh, see, like I love Quentin Tarantino too, and I feel silly saying that I haven't like actually fully watched it, but I remember like I don't know. I don't my mom loved it, and I think I tried to, like, watch it with her, but I got all like, "What's going on?" And then I went and did something else, and I just never watched it, and that's horrible to say.
It's not horrible to say. I mean, it is a movie that I think specific type of people are not going to enjoy
Right.
because it is very famously it's a movie that is chopped up and out of order. And for certain people, that is just like, and it's not saying like, oh, bad or you're good or bad for that person. Just certain people, everyone perceives things differently.
Yeah.
Like that is going to be a huge like negative thing for some people. Like they want to see it as a straight line, not
Yep.
a fucking zigzag with a fucking swirl and like, like,
But I
so
like those types of
yeah.
movies, so I think that I think I would I have to watch it. I just always feel like I don't think of ones that I you know what I mean? Like, "Oh, I haven't watched Pulp Fiction, I have to watch it." I'm just like, "I'm gonna throw on Halloween for the 500th time."
Hey, we all do that.
So, but I do wanna watch it now, especially since you had the masterpiece seal of approval on it.
It's pretty goddamn close to being a perfect movie.
Well, I definitely wanna watch it.
Yeah. Um,
So, I mean, I coulda went on about 10 other different movies, but we'll save that for another show, another episode.
oh, I'm sure we'll
Um,
get back to 94 eventually.
definitely. What about TV shows? What do you have? Like, that was hard for me.
Okay, so just to be clear, because again, when we do these, whether one of us is coming up with the game, we talk about it a little bit, and then we kind of just want us to not talk about it at all, so we
Yep.
don't spoil the conversation. So it's fresh here.
Yes.
I just want to make sure for TV shows in 1994, I chose only shows that debuted in 1994. Is that how did
Yeah.
I don't know? Okay.
No, that's perfect, but it's just like I thought about like what I watched in 94 and most of mine came out in 94. There was one that did not. It was the year prior, but I still like avidly watched it, so I just threw it in there because I don't know. I felt like it doesn't matter. But you
Well, it matters.
well, yeah.
Why wouldn't it matter? You're too hard on yourself.
Well, I
It's
just
just
wanted
it's just
I
you and
just
me.
I know, but I mean like I I wasn't like super, oh, ones that debuted and then I picked one that really like wasn't, but it was still, I don't know.
We'll have fun with it either. I'm not going to be like, God damn it,
This
you.
fucking bitch.
It came out 6 months prior. No, but I
But
will
yes.
say, yeah, this was a lot harder using that as a point because it's like because here's the truth of it.
Mhm.
If if this becomes if we enjoy this and we do this as a recurring segment, if we just include 90s in general, like then Seinfeld is going to be on my list from 1989 when it debuted all the way till 1999 when it ended. I'm sorry, 98 when it ended, and then 99 is just going to be Sopranos. So like that's it. Like
That's it.
that like so I had to be like no, like so let's just zero in here and let's find shows that debuted and it was a lot harder than I thought it would be.
Yes, and that was the other thing too is like I looked at what debuted and I'm like, but I didn't watch that. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I mean, there was one, I don't know. I don't know. I just say things and write lists and then I'm like, oh,
All right. Well,
hmm.
I think because my list is pretty fucking weird. I'm not gonna lie, or pretty weird as not things I think that people would normally think of.
But that's okay because I feel like this is looking into what we were into then and like
All right.
what tickled our fancy. So
Well, all right. Number one, and I actually have a little because I know nobody's gonna know of it, so I had to bring this up. Not my number one. I'm gonna go in reverse order from here on out.
Okay.
My number 3 show that debuted in 1994 is The Head, which is the Head.
I like vaguely remember that.
Yes, The Head. It was a very short-lived show about a man who has a demon living inside of his head that he's just trying to live his normal life, and the demon is, being a little shithead and also somewhat fighting crime. It's a whole thing. I really liked it as a kid.
Yeah.
Didn't understand a fucking thing that was happening in it.
Nope.
A few years ago, they released it all. I think there was only 2 seasons. They released it all on like a Blu-ray set that I bought, and I went back and rewatched it, and I was like, "Holy shit! I should not have been watching this as a child." like the fact that my parents never ever put any sort of like restrictions. I was always allowed to watch what I wanted, but I'm like, God, if they should have sat down and watched an episode of this fucking thing with me.
There might have been some restrictions.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
But I'm glad
now.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm intrigued. I want to watch it.
It's the craziest one on the list, but it was kind of slim pickings.
Mm-hmm.
But it's definitely a fucking weird one. It was a part of what I believe was called Liquid Television back in if you remember MTV Liquid Television. Yep. It was like that, Aeon Flux, the Max. It was like all this like. It was basically like cartoon or Adult Swim before Adult Swim existed. It was like all this adult animation that was pretty much spearheaded by Beavis and Butthead. And then everything else was like nowhere near as popular, but like, yeah.
It was when MTV actually was cool and had music videos and shows that were of substance.
I mean, they don't have anything anymore, as far as I know. And I hate to be that old person who's like, MTV and back in my day had fucking music and had. I'm like, at least even like 10 years ago, like they had reality shows that people talked about. But I'm like, I don't know anybody who watches anything on that network. Is it on? Somebody check right now, because I bet you no one's turned it on in 10 years.
There's nothing there. There's absolutely nothing, and it's so sad because I loved Channel 16.
Shout out. I like
cable.
That.
Yes.
All right. Well, that was my number 3 weirdo pick.
I love it.
Number 2 pick. I'd give you $1 million if you could guess what it was. It is the Magic School Bus.
Oh. On the Magic School Bus.
This one I came at from the perspective of being a child, and I really loved that show as a kid. I think obviously a lot of people did. Mrs. Frizzle or Frackle or whatever her name was. I really liked it. It was like a treat in school when they would wheel the TV cart in, and you'd get to watch an episode about like the body or whatever. The teachers would always, in my school at least, would use that as an example of like to just kill an hour. They'd be like, just fucking watch this. Like,
because it was when they're hungover, when
probably.
Teachers are hungover, they're just like, watch this show. I'm going to sit with my head down.
Yeah. Just watch this fucking thing.
Yeah.
Now that being said, they added it to Netflix like 2 or 3 years ago. And I was like, I didn't expect that I was going to be like enthralled by it, but I thought I might get like a nostalgia kick out of watching it.
Yeah.
I will say this. I think it actively might be responsible for my generation being at least 10 to 20 points of an IQ like lower than like it is fucking unwatchable. Horrible.
But the bus part, when it's like traveling to wherever, and it's like, I want to do that.
Oh, the concept of it's really cool. And like to my 6-year-old brain, I was like, this is fucking amazing. This is this is the best thing I've ever seen. But as an adult, I'm like, oh my God. Like it definitely not like some childhood shows hold up. That one did not. It was goddamn unwatchable. And like I said, I think they might under certain states' laws, you might be able to sue the creators of that for making you fucking dumber.
heavy lawsuits are going to be pending now because of
Wow,
that.
I'm gonna get one.
Fuck you, Magic School Bus.
And then my number one favorite show that debuted in 1994 as a child was All That.
Ooh, that's a really good pick. I love, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All That, basically, if you don't know what it was a kid's version of SNL on Nickelodeon.
Yep.
It was really slapsticky and just like it was so like for a kid who was like maybe around the ages of like between like 6 and 11 or 12. It was so fucking funny. And honestly, I think around that time I might have had like a crush on like Amanda Bynes. God, we know how that turned out. And like, it's just like Keenan and Kel were fucking great. Good Burger. That's where all that shit came from. Just good stuff.
Oh yeah, I just showed my kid Good Burger, and she fucking loved it. She was like watching the scene where he's rollerblading down the street, and she's just like the jokes, the horrible jokes when the customer came up, and I can't even remember it, but she's sitting there and I'm watching her face, and she just see this little snicker. She's like, I'm like, yes.
I think that that Keenan and Kel and all that is, I mean, solely responsible for like orange soda sales spiking by like 3,000% in the 90s.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You should tell your kid if she really liked the first movie that they have announced they're doing the sequel.
Are
With-
you serious?
With Keenan and Kel reprising the roles.
See, now that makes me happy. That's the nostalgic part, just being like, that's the sequel I want to see.
Yeah. I don't want to see Keenan played by, I don't know who, Jonah Hill or something. I don't know. Like, I don't want to see them replace
Pete Davidson would be.
Yeah, he'd be Kel. He'd be Kel for sure.
I would fucking no.
He'd be like, welcome to Good Burger. Can I take your order? I'm gonna go fuck my super celebrity wife or girlfriend now. Anyway,
here's Ariana Grande singing in the corner. Like, no.
Yeah.
No. That just made me really, really excited that you told me that. I had no idea.
Yeah, I believe Keenan's financing it himself, if I'm correct, or he's involved creatively. And Kel, who's kind of been out of the spotlight for a long time, Keenan was like, I ain't doing it unless you come back. He's like, I'm not replacing you. And Kel was like, all right, I'm coming back.
Oh, yes. God, that makes me, I'm happy.
It's good stuff.
Good stuff.
So those would be my 3 picks. How about yours?
Great picks. I'm gonna go backwards like you did. So my number 3 was a ABC sitcom, and it was Home Improvement.
Oh,
fucking what's Wilson? Was it Wilson the name?
Wilson, yep.
Wilson. And I loved Tim Allen. I thought he was hilarious. Hilarious. I love that show. Great.
If you think I don't own the box set, you would be incorrect. So I am also a fan.
I wish I owned the box set, but I remember watching that with like my grandparents, and they thought it was funny. So it was like, some of the stuff they didn't understand, which was good because then I could still watch it.
It was a great, like just a great show. You could watch. Everybody in the family could enjoy that show.
Yes. Yes.
And then like it has some of the great moments that like come back, like that just were fucking so dumb. Like everybody remembers like Mark turns goth and like them freaking out. And like then Mark made a video I'll never forget. Oh, Mark makes a video in which I think he kills his parents, and then they it's like a music video or something, and then like Tim and whatever her fucking name are think he's gonna murder them, and I'm like, this actually exists. This is great.
And Mark was such a random like little dink. Like, I love it.
He was everyone's least favorite character too, and I think they were just like, well, we lost Jonathan Taylor Thomas, so we got to make this little shit interesting. So I guess we'll make him a fucking psycho.
He's gone goth. I don't know. That was such a good, wholesome, funny show. And
can we talk about a part of that show that we didn't even get to? I think it's just a very, I love a show like that, or like Family Matters, that like that finds a way to have these like surreal, crazy things happen in there. And like Family Matters, Urkel was the way into like, oh, this science experiment went wrong. Like,
Yeah.
and in Home Improvement, it was like, this is the show within the show, Tool Time. And
Yeah.
like, here's this crazy fucking thing Tim built. And then he's all of a sudden skyrocketed, or like, just like this crazy slapstick humor that was like for a kid and an adult, it still makes me laugh really fucking hard. And Al was great too.
I love Al. Al was fantastic. It was just like such a good, and that's like for me how a show, like a comedy sitcom, and I miss those. I miss like half an hour sitcoms.
Yeah, they don't really make true like sitcoms like that anymore. I feel like, or if they do, they're nowhere near as big as they used to be.
Yeah, and I don't I feel like I don't even know any. Like if people watching have good recommendations of like a good sitcom, please by all means, like let me know. But
The last one I saw was probably like New Girl. I thought New Girl was pretty good, but that was even 10 years ago now. So,
oh, with Zoe Deschanel.
Mhm.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and it's all reality or it's all The Bachelor, or it's some sort of shenanigans. All right. So the next one is really strange, really, really strange, but it was one that I like, I don't want to say religiously, but I watched and it was very, I don't want to say life changing, but it just made me feel like so much older. And don't make fun of me,
Home
but
Improvement. No, I'm just joking.
it was The Real World, San
Okay.
Francisco with Puck. Do you remember any of
Uh,
that when that happened?
I distinctly, because that was like the biggest season. I think that in my mind, that's the biggest season they ever had.
Yes.
Everybody knows who Puck is.
Yes. And it was like you didn't really know if it was staged or if it was real. You know what I mean? Like, because that was when reality TV actually seemed like it
It
was.
was really when it started.
Yeah. And then it had Pedro. And that was like the first, I mean, not like, but it was talked about he was being open or he was openly gay and he had AIDS and having like Puck be crazy. And just, I thought to myself, is this what I have to look forward to getting older?
That's a terrible outlook. Oh, it's for a child to have. Is this what being a 20-year-old is going to be like?
And I'm like, but I don't want to say I learned something, but I just watched it. Like every time it came on, that was a show that I watched. And I just, for some reason, it stuck with me. And I had to pick that as two.
I mean, there's a reason the show's still going on today. It
Yeah.
obviously connected with a lot. Now, granted, I don't know if I've heard it's going on today. I don't even know what fucking channel MTV's on. I mean, like what the numerical channel is or how to watch it.
Yes. But I think it is. But I think it is more of this is who you're supposed to be. We are casting for this. I think it's like, yes.
I know they did this though. This is one thing I do know they did, and I only know this because I saw them advertise it on Paramount Plus exclusively. That they're going back to the old seasons and they're having the people from the old seasons come back. So, like the very first people in the first house, they just did a season of them like in a new house.
What?
Yes. So I don't know I don't know what group of people that was. Was that San Diego?
I think that was, I think if I wrote it down correctly, I think that was season 2 or 3. So I think it was like, was it New York City or
I think it might have been New York.
yeah.
But yeah, they're bringing the old guests, the old people back and sticking them in a new house, and they're gonna like to see how they are. And I'm like, that actually sounds kind of interesting. Funny that it's not on MTV; it's only on Paramount Plus. So even they were like, "Fuck MTV!" Like we're not no.
Yeah, I think people are trying to like avoid MTV at all costs because it's just garbage. But that's a show that I would watch.
Yeah, it's not that. Yeah, I think it's out or it's coming out, but it's definitely something that is in the works.
You're like blowing my mind tonight with all this information. That's making me genuinely happy.
I mean,
Appreciate you.
I have, I think, more free time on my hands.
Well, either way, I'm very happy that you're telling me this stuff. So I appreciate that.
That can be part of our weekly talk is me updating you on bullshit that doesn't matter.
And then a live reaction of me genuinely being like, what? So yes, I think that'll work. So my number one is a Nickelodeon show too. Do you have any idea what it could be?
The only show that I saw on the list that's sticking out in my mind, Rocco's Modern Life.
Oh, no, I should have picked that one. But this is the one that really, it was the year before. But this show, I'm telling you what, this show had a chokehold on my heart. And I don't know if it was just because of me wanting to be on it. Um, Legends of the Hidden
The Hidden
Temple.
Temple. Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Like, okay. And that's the other thing that we need to touch on is game shows. They were so big in the 90s, like Double Dare, American Gladiators. Oh my God. Press Your Luck.
What was the one that had I remember it had it was a Nickelodeon show, and it had a big head, and like there was like answers, and it was hosted by a really pretty blonde girl. I was like in love with her as a child. I don't even remember what the name of it was called, and then I remember I visited the set. That was like a thing you could do at like I don't even know if they have Nickelodeon studios at Universal anymore, but
yeah, because I remember that's what they had down there because I lived in Orlando.
Yep.
So I was like, I need to be on the show. What was that show?
I think her name was Summer. I want to say not the dude Summer, because I know there was a very famous man named Summer who hosted the show. Mark Summers.
Mark Summers. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh my God. We gotta find that one, and because I can't remember that one.
Gameshowwithhead.com. Oh, never mind. That's gonna pull up some bad. Nope.
We can't air that one. That was not a good episode. But yeah, that I looked.
We can't air that one.
Can't do that. But Jesus Christ. I was looking up shows, and I saw Friends, because Friends came out in 94.
It was definitely the number one like rated show on that like IMDb list, but I was like, I'm not a Friends person.
And I'm not either. My mom, oh my God, she fucking loved Friends, so we had to watch that. And I'm not gonna lie, there's times I'm like, wait, is Rachel with Ross? Is Chandler Bing still getting his TV guy? Like, I knew some stuff, but I'm not a Friends person. I wasn't into that.
Never did it for me.
No. But that's just like looking at shows in 94. I'm like,
It's sort of crazy it would be crazy to talk about 94 and shows that debuted and not even address it, because I'm not saying it's a bad show. I'm not one of those people who's like, fuck Friends. Like, it's just not for me. It is a good sitcom by all standards. It's just not my type of humor.
No. And it was groundbreaking. You know what I mean? And the Rachel cut and everything that came with it. You know what I mean? Like, look at how big it is still. But I'm going with fucking Legends of the Hidden Temple. That shit was the bomb.
Okay. And I can tell how much you were into it, because I don't know how you are so theatrical sometimes. It was like a play, like with Macbeth. You got up to the camera and you said, "It encapsulated my heart, Sam." And I was like, and then I followed it up with Rocco's Modern Life.
I know, I'm like, shit, that's a really good choice, but no.
It was a terrible choice. What are you talking about?
I fucking love Rocco's Modern. Nickelodeon.
Oh, I love it too. But...
I loved Nickelodeon. I miss Nickelodeon.
Me too. All right.
I am very
Legends of the Hidden Temple. What was the mountain's name? I don't remember.
Big mountain guy. I can't remember what his name was, but I
think you're thinking of Tim Allen again.
that was always cracking up to my grandpa. You could never get that man to laugh, and we'd watch it, and he would do that, and he'd be like in his chair, cracking up. I'm like, good job, Tim Allen.
All right, back to the game show.
Yes, so this is exciting. I'm excited about this part. The musical. We're stepping away from TV shows, and now we're going into like the land of music.
Okay.
I think, or no, are we not?
Oh, are you done with the Legends of the Hidden Temple?
Oh, yeah. I limited that to 3 because I could have literally picked this and this. I picked yes.
Well, you barely talked about Legends of the Hidden Temple.
Okay, so to be on that show and to do the challenges and to be in like that type of setting, like that and American Gladiators, and I knew my ass would never be on American Gladiators ever, ever. So
I think I think you're discounting yourself. I mean, I think the whole point of the show was that it was regular people versus, I think at one point, just like Arnold Schwarzenegger looking people.
all of them would scare the shit out of me. And when I was younger, I was a lot bigger, so I knew I could not withhold Diamond and fucking Sky holding myself up on a like I couldn't even climb a rope in gym class. I'm like, that ain't happening. So
Then
the Legends,
you
yeah.
got to fight with that stick. That's all I'm doing, but you know exactly what I'm talking about. That stick.
I remember when they would do the ball, the tennis ball, and they'd shoot you.
Like, that I was thinking about like the weird thing at the end where you like had to like grab like a rocket launcher and like shoot the thing to the end. I'm like, what does this have to do with being like physically fit? Like, firing a fucking rocket, like,
and watching these people like fucking Tom Cruise roll to the front so effortlessly. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, they should get people like me on there so I could just be like, hey, 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 and making weird noises and trying to distract them.
Just it's like, is this person okay? Because are they going to actually hurt me?
I'd like shoot the gun off to distract them and hit like an audience member and just fucking take off.
Be like, just rip the padding off. Ah,
she's done. But no, I don't even like remember a lot of the challenges, but I think as a kid, like that inner child that you just wanted to go and win. You know what I mean? Like I
oh, absolutely. It looked like so much. Even if you would like, if you could just go and play on the set,
yes,
like it would be like a super fucking cool like jungle gym, basically.
pretty much. And I didn't even care if like the no name temple dude talked. Like I just wanted to physically do that. Like that was something I want. I mean, and I was so close to it.
Yeah,
I lived in.
You viably could have.
I know, very sad, but though, like I feel like game shows and that type of stuff was my niche when I was younger.
Definitely. I mean, I haven't turned on Nickelodeon in some time, but I don't know if they even have like game shows anymore. That used to be like there always was some form of a game show that was the hot game show at that time. Like Legends of the Hidden Temple was one. There was I don't think this was Legends of the Hidden Temple. But what was the one that when you would win, you like got like a piece of it was like a big green rock that you like held above your head. Was that Legends of the Hidden Temple?
Yeah.
Was it? Okay.
There's another show though that you're I think that we're talking about that maybe had an aspect of that too, because I know there was Double Dare and you had to do all those,
and you got gooed or gacked or whatever.
like Tim Allen.
Yeah, well, he definitely got gacked.
But I'm trying to think of what else was on there for like TV shows. No, but I'm pretty sure like when at the end you had like the pieces and you had to like go get them from the set and you had to do
yep, and like crawl through like a pie or something.
Yes, and Supermarket Sweep.
Oh, I love Supermarket Sweep.
I know. I just showed that to my kid too, and she was like, "What? You get to go and grab all that stuff?" I'm like, "You have to get the cheeses, the hams, you have to get the most expensive products, you have to get the bonuses," and she was like, fucking loving it.
Yeah, it's such a simple show, but it's very fun.
Yeah.
There's like a kind of a version of it that I like now that's put like a modern twist on it. It's Guy Fieri, and it's called Guy's Grocery Games. It's like the same thing, but they've added that like you have to go get ingredients and then like cook a meal. And it's still got the same chaos though that like that show has, where they're all just like running like with their like chickens with their heads cut off, trying to grab like salami or whatever the fuck it is. Like,
I love that show. I fucking love Guy Fieri.
I don't know how to say it. I always said Fury, and then I've recently heard Fieri, and I'm like, is he even fucking Italian? He looks Hawaiian. I don't know. Like
Guy F. But that show is a total variation of it. And I like the whole cooking part because now everything's a cooking show. So it's the perfect merge of Supermarket Sweep and that.
I agree. It's a good one. And I like Guy too. A lot of people give him shit, but he helps out a lot. He's a good person. So
Yes, I think he seems like a good dude. I didn't know that people gave him shit.
yeah, he gets a lot of shit from people just because I think it's like, oh, he dresses like an asshole, or like, like, yeah, that's his thing. But he also like gives a shit ton of money to like restaurant relief funds and like people in the industry. He helps out a lot. So he's good.
And that's huge because like people not eating is a big thing. Like that's awesome that he does that. And you know what? He's not even that. I mean, never mind. I'm not going down that avenue.
I'll tell you the last cool thing about Guy is that diners, dive-ins, and drives. I think it's, if I'm correct, it's 20%, but it is a factual, like when he visits a restaurant for diners, dive-ins, and dives, it sees like a permanent, it's not like a spike and then goes down. It's like a permanent, like 20% increase in business because people are just like, and they rerun those shows constantly. So people are just constantly like, well, I got to go to fucking, whatever. And I'm like, that's fucking cool that he can be on a show and like
totally do that.
And then be like, yeah, you want me to help this small business out forever?
I've been to a couple places where we live that he's been to, and it's no joke. Like their food, there's a place and it's a Polish restaurant. And not to say, but like it never, like Polish food didn't sound appealing to, like I've had pierogies before. I know this is like a food tangent that's going to make me hungry, but my husband was like, let's go to this restaurant. And I'm like, fine. So I wanted like Mexican or whatever.
Fine.
Whatevs. And we go, and I have never been so happy with a meal. Like they had a beet salad, like a fresh beet salad. And then we had our pierogies, our potato pancakes, and we had a lot of Polish beer.
That probably helped.
So we were like buzzed, and we walked out we walked out, and there was a screen door to the kitchen, and there was all these Polish grandmas, like these little old women cooking their food. And I was just like, I got emotional. I'm like, the grandmas are cooking the food, and it was so good. It was
Thank you, Guy. Thank you, Guy.
It was the best experience. So I'm glad that I didn't snub the Polish food, but he went there and he raved about it.
Yeah. That's awesome. I've been same experience I've had at some, not with the little old ladies cooking, but I've been just hit restaurants he's reviewed, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Now I'm hungry. Now I want pierogies.
Well, last week we wanted hot dogs, so this week we
we'll just start like a side food show.
Yep. And then whatever we talked about, we cut to us just eating it, like
not reviewing it.
The show ends with us just like eating a hot dog silently.
Some people might be into that.
I don't want to know. I don't want to know those people.
Oh, now I want a hot dog. Okay, anyway. So now we will transition into the music part. And I am really excited to talk about music in the 90s because I love 90s music.
I love 90s music as well. It was kind of hard to pick. I have picked 3 bands. And then I went by like what was big. And there's a lot that was big in the 90s and in the early 90s. It's pretty much all going to be grunge for me.
Yep.
But I'll just start. And I went with band number 3. I love this band. I love all these bands, but number 3 is going to be The Offspring.
Yes.
The Offspring. That's really when I prefer them, is when they were more grunge than like pop punk, which I still love pop punk, but like this would be like around the Self-Esteem era, when he had the dreads and
that song. I love that song.
It's still fucking great to this day.
I just jammed it this weekend. I was like, I fucking love this song. I don't care what anyone says.
Yeah. And it's one of those things that like I was going through and I was looking like, what was the big bands in 94? And I was like, fuck, I'm like, they have, granted, I know they're not super big anymore as far as like hits, but I'm like, they were still putting out hits to like in like the late like 2010s. I'm like, they started all the way in 94. Like they were, and they were able to change and adapt their style, like to do more pop punky stuff. And then when, a little more metal was they did pretty good shit. But 94, that grunge shit was just fucking awesome.
It was perfect. Oh, such a good year. When I was going through the albums too, I'm like, this is such a good year for music.
Yeah, 100% couldn't. It's such a good, I mean, just a good decade of music.
Totally.
And I honestly, like, I picked the stuff that I liked, so it's all going to be rock. But like,
Yes.
there's fucking good shit all across the board. I mean, I
Mhm.
was seeing like pop songs that I like, but I'm just like, it's just not. If I'm playing something from the 90s, it's going to be a rock song.
Absolutely.
Okay, number 2
Yes.
is a band that I absolutely number 2 and number 1 are like, it was easy for me, but it is I didn't realize that this album came out around that time, is Bush. I love Bush.
Yes.
Hold your jokes, you pervs. I
like Bush.
Yeah. I love Bush.
As you're
Period.
eating,
End of the sentence.
as you're eating the hot dog.
Silently. This is around the time Everything Zen came out. I really like Bush, the band, and it's I don't know. I just, there's something about his voice that I've always really enjoyed. I especially for like this, I don't want to say like self-deprecating type music, but like, a lot of his songs around that era were like about his heroin addiction.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert for my number 1 pick. Big thing in the 90s.
Huge.
So it was it just like, I don't know, I really enjoy, but Come Down is fucking great. Glycerine is unbelievable.
So good.
There's a fucking great live performance if you've never seen it. I recently found it. I don't even know what festival it was at, and I saw a comment that like literally broke my heart. It was like, it was a live show of them singing Glycerine to like 10,000 people, and like the number 1 rated comment on the video was, and it was a great recording. That's why I was listening to it, because I was, sometimes live videos suck.
Yeah, totally.
It was fucking great, and then the comment was just broke my heart. It was, someone said that like basically it was like I never got to really get to know my mom because she died when I was real little, but she said Bush was your favorite band and she was at this show, and I feel a little bit connected to her watching this. And I was like, oh, I don't know if it's fucking true or not, but like
oh my God.
I was like, that's heartbreaking.
Wow, that just got like a charge in my emotions with that comment.
Yeah, well, yeah, especially like, it's the internet, so usually it's like, the first answer is like, Bush sucks my fart hole.
Yeah.
Like,
fuck Gavin Rossdale. Fuck him. Yeah.
Yeah. Why'd they name their band Bush? That's dumb.
Coming from Kid Rock.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Yeah, well, it'd be more likely coming from like, Fartbox 94 on, YouTube or whatever. But I really enjoy Bush. I think they're just really good. They're my second favorite 90s grunge band, only second to the one I'm about to say. My favorite 90s band and my favorite grunge band, period, and one of my favorite bands, period, is the Stone Temple Pilots.
Fuck yes.
And in 94, both Vaseline and Interstate Love Song came out, which are just like perfection.
Music to your ears.
Yeah. Similar in that grungy, depressing sort of music that just somehow makes you feel good. And then unfortunately for Stone Temple Pilots, Scott Weiland didn't beat his heroin addiction like Gavin Rossdale did, but just a fucking great band. And I genuinely think Scott is, in my personal opinion, I think he's the best singer that ever lived in my lifetime.
He was an amazing artist. I will agree. Yeah.
Those are my picks.
Amazing picks. So when I was like 8, I had my neighbor was one of my close friends, and his sister was 16. So she was like into everything that was cool that I liked, but I couldn't because of like my grandparents, because they were very like old, and like I couldn't listen to certain things, but I did anyway. And those were some of her favorite bands, and I'd go over and listen to like them. I got into No Doubt because I mean, and No Doubt was like a huge part of my life, but Gavin and her, and because Bush went on tour with them, and I saw the Tragic Kingdom tour, and I get
The
it.
whole relationship that they had. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And
Yeah.
I love that. That's part of like, you know.
I think it also helps when I have like a specific memory connection, not just to the band themselves, but like I distinctly remember like, so my uncle through marriage, my uncle Doug,
Mhm.
he I don't even know how. I guess I was really into like rock, but I was into like hard fucking rock, like middle schoolers were. And I still love this
Okay.
shit. I'm not talking down on it, but like I was into like Slipknot and Mudvayne and
Mhm.
and I love that shit still to this day, but like not what I would call a little more sophisticated music. Now, I don't know how to say this without sounding like a dickhead, but and he was like, hey man, he's like, I think you might like this album, and he gave me the Stone Temple Pilots, their first album. He's like, I love this band. He's like, I think you might like them. And
Yep.
and I was like, well, whatever. And then I listened to it, and then like by the next time I saw my uncle, I was like, I have all their albums now. Like yeah. So
It's all
I'm
oh,
just
sorry.
I think having that like connection is it helps like my love for the band.
Yes, and it's like those like because that's when we were like being introduced. Like, you know what I mean? Like we knew, like I knew mainstream stuff from the radio, like Celine Dion, All for One, like all the big Seal, like all the big pop stuff in the 90s. But then you get to the people that had like the different tastes in music and experiencing something for the first time, like music, it's life changing,
Absolutely. I mean,
you know?
there's albums that I think change all of our lives and for different reasons. I mean, somebody out there, and what I recently see that meme that was going around, and it was like every day since 1997 this song goes through my head, and it's the you and me baby ain't nothing but man.
Yes. Yes.
And I love the Bloodhound Gang, but to somebody out there that album's probably life changing. And yeah,
Okay, I'm gonna do this real quick. I don't know if I can. Where is it?
I thought
Oh,
you were going to be like my number one pick, the Bloodhound Gang.
well, I mean, they would be for 94, but you say that.
Fantastic.
I
That's
got
awesome.
I got this for Christmas and I cried.
Oh,
I fucking cried. Like 25th anniversary because Bloodhound Gang is one of my all-time favorites. And that meme that you're talking about, I saw that.
I love that I just picked them out of the blue. I had no idea that like I mean I love the Bloodhound Gang. I didn't know that they were like one of your like I tried to pick like an obscure comedy band and you're like no. You're like Sam, I'm that person. That's
Hold
me.
on.
You're
That's me.
describing me.
I don't like, and that song was amazing, but like their old stuff is just amazing. And I shared that meme
What's the
and loop
first
it.
one? Firewatch or whatever the fuck it is. Their first hit.
Uh, One Fierce Beer Coaster was the album, and Firewater Burn.
Fire whatever. That's what I'm thinking of. Yes.
Yes, and like, and even like when oh my god, Daddy Longlegs was in the band, and it was Use Your Fingers, and I should not have had that album, and I totally did.
Yeah, that was probably not an appropriate one.
Not very wise, but like, so I shared that in Lupus because I talked to him. And
Really?
that's like, yeah, like we're friends. He follows me on my personal page and then he follows the podcast page. I think that he follows our page.
That's fucking awesome.
And he is the nicest fucking dude. And I told him, I'm like, when I was younger, I voted for you on TRL.
You actually did a vote on TRL.
I had to call and I voted for the Bad Touch to beat out NSYNC and Britney Spears and
Well,
Eminem and all that. Yeah.
well, you made the right choice. That is the
Thank you.
correct choice. I've never actually, I don't think I've ever met someone, and I not that I'm like asking regularly, but it never even occurred to me to like vote on TRL or anything. I was just like now you can open up your phone and just click a button, but like back then you had to call in. I was like, fuck that, I ain't doing that. Like,
And the lines like were open a certain amount of time and it was after school and they came out with that and I was like, dude, they have to be number one because how could them beating out boy pop bands? And I saw them. I know this is a tangent, but I saw them in Orlando. And we
I love this tangent because again, no disrespect. I love the Bloodhound Gang. I was just picking them because, again, more like just kind of not, it's just comedy. It's comedy rock rap.
Right.
It exists in its own plane of existence. I don't really know what to call it, but I just picked them for that reason. And I love that just out of nowhere, you're like, you just fucking described me. That is fucking awesome. So I love this tangent. Go on it. And I want to hear every single piece of this.
So, okay, real quick. So my introduction to the Bloodhound Gang, because they came out a long time ago and I was young, we went to Florida and this group of, I think they were juniors and I was a freshman. Maybe we went to Florida with a group of our friends, my mom's friends, and I got wasted for the first time, like wasted on screwdrivers. And we were cruising around Florida listening to One Fierce Beer Coaster, and Lift Your Head Up High and Blow Your Brains Out was on there. And I know that's a horrible title, and I hate saying it because I get it, but I loved it. And I was like, who is this? And they're like, Bloodhound Gang. So I listened to the whole Firewater Burn, Boom with Vanilla Ice, because he was on the album. So I fell in love with them. So fast forward to 2000, whatever, when they came out with Bad Touch. And that was like, what a phenomenon. Like people loved it. So we were at Universal and they were playing the Hard Rock. And that was back in the day when you didn't have cell phones to see who was coming and who was going to be playing. So we're walking into Islands and I look up on the marquee at the Hard Rock and I was like, the fucking Bloodhound Gang's playing, freaking out, begged my mom to go. I'm like, please, can I go? I think I was like 13 or 14 or something. And we bought tickets at the box office. It was in the middle of the day. And I went in to look at the front door and I see this like tall silhouette and this short silhouette. And I could see like a backwards hat. And it was Jimmy Pop and Evil Jared. They walked out and I had the biggest crush on Jimmy Pop.
Yeah, everyone has lead singer syndrome, right? Yeah.
Oh my God. And he's such a tool. Like he's such a dork, but I thought he was like amazing. And he came out and he was like, hey, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, oh, hi. And Evil Jared starts hitting on my mom. Just like it's like wife beater in his fucking skinny black pants. And I think he like reeked of Jaeger and he was like walking up to my mom and he's talking to her and I'm like, is Evil Jared hitting on my mom?
That's
no, mom.
That's awesome.
And it was so cool because I went back later that night to take my little stepbrother and it was one of the best concerts I've been to, but they came out doing the Bad Touch, but they dressed like NSYNC.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Because like if you watch their old videos, they do like this little breakdown part and they dance like boy bands. And they did that. And it was just like the epitome of like that time. Because
thank God they didn't wear the monkey suit because imagine if they set that precedent where they're like, every time we play this song, we're going to be wearing a goddamn monkey suit. Like
that would be stinky.
Yeah, they would be miserable.
So all on that tangent, but Bloodhound Gang,
they're awesome. I listened to them. Like I never owned any of their albums. I just listened to like the stuff my friends were really into. I think if I recall, I think it was them. I remember back when I used to be on the Brad's Devil's Lettuce.
Yeah.
There was a video that I think it was them, and I don't remember what the song was, but I just remember it's like three dudes sitting around playing video games with an actual Pac-Man, but he's like it's just a guy in a suit, and then they're just like, Pac-Man, don't do drugs. Drugs are bad. He's like, shut the fuck up, you little bitch. He's like, you want drugs to get you high? And I just remember, I don't even know if it's Bloodhound Gang or not, but I remember just sitting there also on my couch high, and I was like, this is the television at its fucking peak.
Okay, so that song, dude, I love that you just said all of that because he's like, hey, Pac-Man, what's up? He's like, me, you bitches, I'm high on crack.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah. It's been a while, but I remember we used to watch it and just laugh and laugh and laugh.
Oh my kid, she loves that song. Of course, go figure. Because she thinks Pac-Man's awesome, but at the end, it's like Homer you know, and he's
No,
holy
holy
macaroni.
macaroni.
And
Yeah.
she thinks it's the best. Oh my, that impression of Pac-Man.
It's all I remember. And it's so I should watch the video after. I'm on vacation. I'm gonna get fucked up. Fuck it.
You should.
Oh, this is good stuff.
Oh, I love it. Man, that just made me really happy talking about them. So, but they're for 94, they're not on my list, sadly.
Yeah, I don't know if they were around in 94. Like,
I know I should have looked, but I think that might have been like
I think late 90s.
closer to it.
I would say like 97, 98 probably.
So my number 3 is Beastie Boys, Ill Communication.
Fuck yes.
Dude, that Sabotage video. And that's this is where MTV like totally came into my life, because watching that video and then watching them perform at the VMAs, I was like, holy fuck. So, and that, I mean, Biggie, he was out in 94 and Ready to Die came out, and I loved rap music, but I also loved rock, grunge. So it was like but like that album is fucking iconic. And it was life-changing for me.
So agree. So agree. I love the Beastie Boys. I came into the Beastie Boys late in life too. I thought the Sabotage video was great. I thought Intergalactic was great. Yes. It wasn't something like I really like, you know, I don't know, I was in college and I was just like farting around on YouTube or something. And then I just went down a rabbit hole and I was like, holy shit, these guys are like fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And I recently, like within the last week, I watched this like online documentary. It kind of did what we're doing. And they literally went through from 1990 to 2000.
Yeah.
And every year in the 90s, they picked like what album they thought, or what album or what band like defined that year. And they got to 94 and they said, we're kind of cheating here because everyone knows it's Nirvana. They're like, but everyone knows that. So we're kind of doing secondary pick, because otherwise we're just wasting your time talking about Nirvana. Because not, you know, because Nirvana is that big, you know, we did a whole other separate documentary on Nirvana. Go watch that. They picked,
please.
They picked the Beastie Boys, and I was like, yeah. And I watched it, and I'm like, yeah, like holy shit, you know. They're like, think about like what they did, like as far as what they did for rap in general, like they really were one of the ones to open that door to basically make white parents from suburbia okay with their kids listening to rap music, because now those are just fine upstanding gentlemen, you know. Yes. all the let's just be clear, what it was back then was racism, but
yes, clearly, yes, very much so.
But like they were one of the ones who really kind of opened that door, and then really were one of the ones who did the whole fusion of rap and rock and comedy and all this other basically what we just talked about with the Bloodhound Gang, just a little bit more serious.
Yes, and like the rapping capabilities, like they're fucking some of the best lyrical and like performing rap artists ever. And I'm so sad that I never got to see them live, because I've heard people talk about that, and I'm like, even like their VMA performance of Intergalactic and Sabotage, and just the theatrics and how it's like perfect, like that trio, for them to exist and for me to exist in that time period and see it is like crazy.
Yeah, my buddy saw him at a festival, like I think on their last festival, if I'm correct. And he's like, you know, he always invited me, but I'm like, I fucking hate festivals. I'm like, because there's just too many people and they're expensive and all the fucking everything sucks. And I'm like, God damn it, I wish I'd went. Like, you know, like
I know. I wish I was old enough to go, because I was shut down a lot. I had opportunities to go, not when I was 8, but I had opportunities to go when I was a little bit older, but I got shut down.
Well, they played, I mean, what they were doing, I think they did Lollapalooza, which obviously is not near you, so I understand the difference. But like,
yeah, but like back in the day, people traveled to go to this stuff. Like my neighbor, the one I was talking about, she went to so many shows, and she's like, I mean, I'll take you, but and she knew my grandparents. She's like, yeah, I have to talk to Nana. I'm like, well, that ain't fucking happening. Yeah, Nana, goddamn you, Nana. Rest in peace. I love her so much. I miss her, but she was like, she at that time was a no-go. Later on, when I got older, like I always had to wear my sleeves like this because she couldn't see my tattoos.
No, you had to. It's one. I get you. I get
You
you
know
there.
what I mean?
Yeah, I know that. I know some people that are still like that. Like, I have a friend that to this day, he's actually a year older than me. He still hides his tattoos from his parents, and I'm like,
Wow. I know.
yeah.
And how, I mean, I get it because I've had to do it, but how shitty that you have, like, you know,
I don't think well, in his case, I just genuinely think he doesn't need to. It just he doesn't want to
want the
have
hate.
he doesn't want to have that conversation. And I'm just like, what are they gonna do? Fucking ground you? Like
I know. And that, but it's terrifying. Like when you're like, I was scared of my grandma. I defied my mom a lot, but her, I was like, ain't fucking around with that. Um, the next one is, and such a staple for me and like my music and my music taste, and I passed it down to my daughter. But Weezer, Buddy Holly,
woo-hoo. Yep.
like that video, because I knew Happy Days and I knew the Fonz because of, like my mom and my grandparents, but such a fucking heavy song. And I know some people are like, no, it's not really, but like, I love Buddy Holly. I love Surf Wax USA. My Name is Jonas. Like I fucking love Weezer.
I never got into them very much. I really like Hash Pipe. I think Hash Pipe is a great song.
Yes.
But I never really got into them. But like I know so many of their songs, and I'll be honest with you, you'll learn this with me. I'm terrible when it comes to with movies. I can be like, it's that actor, it's that director, it's that. When it comes to music, I'm like, I don't know what song this is, what album it is, and I don't know what decade it came out in. Like, but I would say at this point, I think I could sing. If you started playing a Weezer song, I'd be like, I know it. Back when my band days and stuff, a couple of my buddies were really into Weezer,
Yeah.
and like so every show we'd go to, they'd be playing Weezer songs, and I'm like, oh, yep, I know this one. Like this is I can sing along to "If You Want to Destroy My Sweater."
I fucking love it. And they're like, Rivers went through some tough shit when he was on like pain meds. Like he was on pills, and we saw them with Panic at the Disco because that was like the first time I saw them, and they sucked. It really made me sad because
Panic sucked.
Weezer sucked.
Oh.
Not Panic's doing Bohemian Rhapsody. He does a backflip off the piano. The two, like my husband and his best friend, who are, I hate, they're music snobs. Let's be real. They're all like, perf. But when they played that, they were like, holy, like flabbergasted how good Panic was and how good that performance was.
I think Brendan Urie, as far as modern singers, I mean, granted, I know he just retired,
Yes.
and broke the band up, which is one person. But he, I think he might genuinely be the best singer alive today.
He's amazing, and I see that. But I thought that pairing was going to be fantastic, and it wasn't so good. And then we saw them, I think 2 years when he got clean, and they just came out with the Teal album. So they did like Take on Me, Mr. Blue Sky, like awesome covers. And I remember Rivers came through because we're at amphitheater. He came through on a sailboat singing Take on Me a cappella.
That's cool.
I had like goosebumps because he sounded so good in the whole, like everyone was singing it. And I'm just like, my little 8-year-old self being like, Rivers. Like,
question
so excited. Yes.
Are they, and I think they are, but this will play into me not knowing anything about music band names and songs. I just don't pay attention to that shit. Are they also the ones who sing, and I'm going to sing this song, and by sing it, meaning I'm going to make noises and hope you just know what I'm talking about. Are they also the ones who sing the song that was in like every like mid 90s, late 90s, maybe early 2000s like movie that was like a love song, and it was like, yep.
Yes, Island in the Sun.
That's the one. Yes, that's it. I like all I do is yep.
Hip, man, and it's the guitar. It was in Out Cold. Remember Out Cold?
That's exactly the movie I was thinking of because it's the basis of the fucking movie.
When they had, because I love Out Cold. Out Cold
well.
is one of my all-time favorites. But when they had that playing, I was like, yes. But Yeah, that's
I
one of my
love
favorite.
it was literally the movie in my head, and I'm glad you thought of that. All right, cool.
I also thought like I went to American Pie because I feel like they were in like American Pie movies too.
American Pie, I love it, and they might have been. I
Yeah.
know Sum 41 was the big song in at least the second one. I remember that.
Yes, but no, Weezer's just I don't know. They're an acquired taste, but that was very I don't want to say life-changing, but listening to that album with my friend, I was just like, "Who?" And then the music video. So, that was a staple of 94. And my number 1 is cheesy and it's obvious, but it was Green Day Dookie.
I saw it on there. I mean, how could it? I figured it had to be on one of our lists. So
Yes, and my grandparents hated Green Day. I think they heard Basket Case once, and she was like, "They talking about being stoned or this and that." Because I bought a cassette tape, and my grandma heard it, and she was just like, "No." So I hid my tapes from her, my fucking cassette tapes, because CDs weren't like a huge thing back then. But I love Green Day. I mean, I'm not such a huge fan now. Like, I don't really like the Boulevard of Broken Dreams and all that nonsense, but I like um,
old
old
Green Day.
Green Day. Yes.
I so I like Green Day. I like the hits, like they've got some stuff that I think is like underrated. Like was it Blood and is it one called Sex and Blood? I think it's called. I really like
Something
that.
like that. Yeah.
Um, they got some underrated ones. I'm not a huge Green Day fan, and like I don't. They're not a go-to for me, and I think it's just. But I respect the fuck out of them because here's the thing.
Right.
Like, my favorite music genre of all time is what followed Green Day. Like again, like how I said weirdly, Woody the toy ran because Chucky
Chucky.
walked. I mean, I think that fucking Green Day walked so that Blink could exist. And Blink is when I got really into like pop punk, like a lot of people did,
Yeah.
and pop punk and that kind of emo-y, screamo-y music that followed.
Yep.
That's like my core music. So, and I look at Green Day as like they're the forefathers of that. They really are what, and then probably before that, Stiff Little Fingers. But like
Yep.
the Green Day really put that type of music on the fucking map to the masses.
And it was just like when they came out with When I Come Around, just all of it. And again, it was so heavily influenced by MTV because I'd sit and watch MTV like over the summer and just watch like fucking Hole, Tracy Bonham, just like all of them. And it's funny too because I went back to look at the list and there's bands that I listen to now that I didn't even know existed back then.
Oh, yeah, for sure. You probably
Like
looked at a similar list that I did, yeah.
yeah, like Ween, Chocolate and Cheese came out, and Ween is like one of my all-time favorite bands. Meat Puppets, Mudhoney, like all these and stuff that I listen to now that I'm just like, I didn't even really know back then.
Didn't even know it was there. Yeah.
Yeah, because it was just because that was like, I don't if it's fair to say indie, but it was like alternative, like Dinosaur Jr.
Well, isn't it? I think it would be fair to say, and unless I think unless you're like just like the coolest, one of the coolest people on the planet, or a liar, not you. I'm saying the general person here.
Yeah.
That when you're like probably till you're about 13 or 14, maybe even 15, you're probably listening to whatever's the most popular thing out at the time. It
Yep.
may be like I'm more of a rock person, I may be more of a rap person, or I'm more of a, a pop person, but you're probably listening to whatever is the mainstream of that. I think once you turn like 16, 17, and then beyond is when you start like getting into like the niche stuff. Like
Yes, your
again,
acquired taste.
I love like okay, Blink 182 was like my in on like punk rock, but then
Yep.
as like I said, I went back and I'm like, oh, it's like Stiff Little Fingers, like they weren't anybody, like the Buzzcocks, like all this shit that like just I think that you again, unless you're a fucking liar, you probably there's some there's some entry level, there's a gateway drug of music that you went through, and it probably was something that was playing on MTV or the radio at that time.
Yes. And like, and the evolution of it, like the next year after 94 was Tragic Kingdom came out, and I was obsessed with No Doubt, Sublime, and then I got into like my ska phase and Real Big Fish and Less Than Jake and Mighty Mighty Boss Tones, and I got introduced to that realm of music, you know, which was kind of popular, I guess, but it was more uh, I don't want to say mainstream, but you saw it in like teen movies.
Yeah, it had its moment, like because there was
Yeah, it was a moment thing. Like it wasn't super
it,
mainstream, but
it was a little bit mainstream.
yes.
I mean,
Yes, it
there
was.
was a time when everybody, and I hate this band name, but there was a time frame when swing music came back and everybody knew who the Cherry Poppin' Daddies were. Fucking awful band name, but like they were big for like a year and a half.
Mhm.
Like, you know, around the same time frame that we're, I mean, not very long after what we're talking about right here, by the way.
Yeah, and it's crazy too because like all the other weird music that emerged, like fucking not weird, and I don't want to say that because I don't want to, but like Prodigy, when they came out, I fucking loved Prodigy. And it was I just had such a obscure taste in music, but I feel like being introduced to like Beastie Boys, Green Day, Stone Temple Pilots, like those bands, like you said, were this like gateway to endless possibilities of music.
Yeah, I think definitely. It's, yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. I just I love I could talk about 90s. We could do a whole episode on just 90s music because I fucking love it.
Add it to the list.
We will. We'll continue with that one. Oh, I like the next question though. So following the music, we're dipping into like crush. Like who did you start to think was cute in 94?
This was the hardest question that I have. Because again, I was 6.
I know.
Um, I don't recall any crushes that I had back then. And also like it's like I'm trying to like I try to like go back and like look through a list of movies, but I'm like, I don't really know. So I kind of had to just go with what my gut felt like. What did I love at 6 years old? And
Yep.
sadly, it's a thing I love today still, but whatever. I was really into pro wrestling.
Yes.
Still am today to a lesser degree. And the pick I'm having for any pro wrestling fan out there, they're probably a lot of them are probably about to go like, "Whoa, really?" Like, her name, and this is because in 93, 94, when she came in, she had a very different look than she did about 2 years later. Her name was Luna Vachon, and I got a picture here because I know you're not a wrestling fan. This is her when she came into the company.
Okay.
That's her on the right, to be
Okay.
clear, not the one on the left. That's a man.
Wow.
She had like a punk rock look. She had like she drew this shit on like to look like lightning bolts on her face.
Yep.
Kind of like a Dom thing. I mean, not maybe I was into it at 6. I don't know.
You never know.
She was just really, I thought she was beautiful. She was cool looking. She was tough too. Like her character, especially in that era of women's wrestling, it was basically nothing. They didn't let the girls do anything. And then what she kind of became was she went the other direction and she like became like a monster. Like she got herself like just jacked and then like and then like started shaving her head and like looking like as crazy as she could, but she was still fucking awesome. Didn't have as much of a crush on her then. But I will say that like when her 93, 94, when she first came in, it was probably the closest thing I would say I could have to a crush as a kid is really all I could say.
And I guess I should have put more thought into that question because I thought the same thing. I'm like, holy shit, I was 8 and I know Sam's younger than me. So like he's like a crush probably wasn't a thing at our age. So maybe like who we go back and think of cute now, but like
and it's hard because it's like, well, it's a whole like year. And then like because in the 90s, when I first heard that, my first go-to thing is like I'm like Topanga. But
right.
I've already talked about Topanga, and so I'm like, I don't want to talk about Topanga again. So I was like, let me think a little bit outside the box, and I was like, I'm a wrestling fan. I'm like, what wrestlers were there in the 90s? And there was like 5 women's wrestlers in the 90s. That was it.
I'm not gonna lie, when you said that, I was thinking, and I could be completely wrong because I don't know, but China.
No, she showed up a little later. That would have been like 90, 90, maybe the end of 95, 96.
Okay. At least I know like she was in that vicinity of time. But and when I was younger, my best friend, her and her brother were into wrestling. So I knew I would watch it with them. I was totally, whatever you're into, I'm gonna support and I'm gonna watch it. And oh my God, who was like big wrestlers back then?
In the like 90s.
Yeah.
Stone Cold would have been like the biggest. The
Yeah.
Rock, Triple H.
Triple H. Oh my God. Listening to them talk about it fucking killed me because like her brother hated this one and they'd fucking go at it. It's just like Melissa, and it was just so funny to watch, and I loved it.
It's a wrestling fandom is a whole nother world, somewhat an awful world, because I think it might genuinely be the most awful, like at least internet awful like group of people, because they're just horrible to each other.
Yeah.
But I will say, like, in a funny way, if you hear like wrestling fans talk and you don't know what wrestling is, like my partner has watched me. I used to do a podcast about wrestling, and she's like, I would listen to you guys like while I'd come downstairs, and she'd be like, it's like you guys are speaking another fucking language, because it's a lot of it is like carnival speak, like it's weird, and it is very like you said, you're like, what the fuck are you guys talking about? Like.
And I like at that time I knew like I knew like the beef and like who had beef with who, and because I spent so much time there and vice versa, like she spent so much time with me.
You pick up on things.
Yes. And I knew like not to say this, and I knew like, doing something like some sort of motion was like their thing.
Yeah, that was the suck it motion.
Yeah. I would just randomly do it. I'd be sitting there and be like, or whatever.
That would have been a late 90s thing where every little kid got in trouble because in the late 90s, every little kid was going around school and it's like, was just telling people to suck it. And it's like a 9-year-old kid like just walking around going,
the parents are like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it was. And Austin was giving everybody the finger. It was a good time to be a fan, but probably not a great time to be a parent.
No, they watched it upstairs a lot too because their parents were like, no.
Yeah. Who would be your 94 crush?
So I had to put some thought into this because I wasn't like a JTT fan or anything like that, but I felt like the one that I felt the most like you said, like just Devin Sawa, because he was in Little Giants, Casper. I'm trying to think what else was big back in the 90s for him.
He had some we're missing.
Yeah, but he's just like the typical blonde, but not really like the typical blonde because he kind of had like an edge to him, but then he was like the nice guy, but he was still edgy. So I loved him in Little Giants.
Oh, he's great in Little Giants. I mean, I like it. I love him now. He's one of my favorite follows on Twitter now to this day.
Yeah, and I love him to this day. I think he's fucking hilarious. And then, I mean, as I grew up, he had Idle Hands, and he started to Final Destination blossom into that horror hunk for me. So
he's a small part in it, but if you've ever seen SLC Punk,
yes,
I love him. I love him in that. I very much wanted to have his hair in that movie when I was a kid. In fucking Possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you've never seen the movie, for those listening, I mean, like when I say like Liberty spikes, but I mean Liberty spikes that, like, I don't know, were 3 stories tall. Like, it was fucking crazy. Like,
the higher the hair, the more like you fucking just. And that's the other thing that I miss about the 90s is the fucking style. I miss all of it. The fucking bowl cuts.
Oh, well, we're gonna get to that, I think, right?
Oh, we are, and I cannot wait. But yeah, he was like, he was my only one that I really. I mean, I did have a crush on Rivers. I thought he was just super cute and like dorky, and I've said it before, but I always like
River Phoenix?
Rivers. No, Rivers Cuomo from Weezer.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, yes, okay. Sorry.
I don't know what it is, but he's short and had his glasses, and he was nerdy because I've said it before. I didn't like the jockey blonde, like Leo, JTT, Andrew
Yeah.
Keegan type dude. I wanted like the nerdy
You
guy. And
you
yes,
you would have been like Team Ducky over Team Jake the jock.
I fucking love Ducky. Yes, in
Yeah.
a heartbeat.
Well, everyone is, and by the way, that movie, I still argue that that movie has the most fucked up ending ever because she should have ended up with Ducky at the end of the movie.
Totally. And it breaks my heart. It's like a Randy Sid moment all over again.
You know that I've heard on that too, that they actually did film it, that it was supposed to be Ducky. And that
Really?
this is what I heard. I was listening to a podcast years ago, so I'm paraphrasing,
Hmm.
but I was listening to it and they were saying that they filmed it with Ducky and then they did a test screening and they showed it to like 12 and 13-year-old girls and like specifically, and then like the 12 and 13-year-old girls were like, no, like we want him to be with like the hunk. The hunk is who he needs to be with, because they just, they don't want to be with a nerd at 12 or 13 or whatever. And
Hmm.
then they went back and reshot it and put it so that she ends up with Jake, thus fucking the whole movie up forever. That's what I heard. I don't know if that's real or not, but I'm like, that tracks for me. That makes sense, because the
It
whole
does.
movie, it's leading up to her being with Ducky. Like,
God. And I know. And like the whole dance scene, it's all of it. It's just like you want that moment and you get fucking nothing.
yep.
I believe it
So
too. I believe that probably was the thing. But that's just me. I mean, some people might have wanted like the popular hot girl or like the heartthrob, but I was just like, make me laugh. Tell
yeah,
me some, like, be smart, be interesting. Can you play an instrument? Like, can you like that was
I
for
think
me.
that's the majority of people, honestly, because here's the reality of it: the majority of people weren't the jock in high school or the cool, queen bee or whatever. The majority of people were regular people, or even, outcasts or quote unquote losers or whatever. I think most people are going to gravitate towards someone that they can relate to, as opposed to like,
Yes.
well, fuck this guy. Like, this guy gets, I know this guy. He goes to my school. He went to my school and he was a fucking dickbag. Like, like I think that more people would relate to the nerd, or the quieter person than the jock and the hot chick.
It's true. And I miss that era of movies. The whole but again, that's another episode that we
I
can
like
go off on tangents about.
I like when movies. Well, never mind. All right.
I mean, we can. I'm not
I was
regulating the episode.
I like when movies subvert that a little bit, like when they shouldn't do that, but they do. Like, I recently rewatched Cabin in the Woods,
Yes.
and it so plays on that with like, I'm inherently like, I'm watching this movie, like I'm supposed to hate Thor in this movie. And then I'm like, actually, wait, Thor's really cool and he's a nice person and he's good to all his friends. But then they, with the gimmick, like, well, we got to make him a dumbass. So then they hit him with like the spray or whatever. And then he's like,
Yep.
oh, all right, now I got to go be an idiot. Like, it's like, I like when they subvert your expectations in that way. Like,
Totally.
I don't hate him just because he's a jock. I hate him, because they usually write that character like a fucking asshole. Like,
It's true. Like Justin Long in Barbarian.
exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fucking Barbarian. Oh, now this is a fun one. This is one that's going to make me hungry yet again. But what were your like favorite snacks in the 90s?
All right. So I wrote 3 just because that's what we did here.
Yep.
And number 3, I wrote, it's not my favorite snack. I don't even like this, but I just think that if we're going with the 90s around this time frame, we would be remiss to not mention Butterfingers, because of their connection with Bart Simpson. That candy bar was
Absolutely.
everywhere. I remember it was everywhere. And that I swear to God, I think it's a terrible fucking candy bar. Get stuck to, I hate it. I do. I hate it. It gets stuck to your teeth. It's gross. I don't like it. It's like eating pure molasses. I don't know. But I will say I probably ate 500 of them when I was a big Simpsons fan.
Because Bart, what's your favorite candy bar?
Uh, This is where I'm probably not going to help myself because it's an old man candy bar.
Wait, let me get. Okay, no,
Oh no, go for it.
regular Hershey.
No.
Okay. Okay.
My favorite candy bar is a Payday.
Oh, fuck yeah, paydays. Those are
Yeah.
that's my second favorite, but my first one's a Butterfinger.
But oh, it is okay. So you're all right. Well,
I
then
love
you're
Butterfingers.
that's fine. I'm not going to shame anyone. You're the one keeping them in business now that they've lost the Bard Association. But I figured I was just like 90s candy bar Simpsons. What's more Simpsons? Wait, what's more 90s than Simpsons? Like, granted, I know they're still going on today, but they were the best in the 90s.
Oh yeah.
Number 2 is a candy that I still like very much today, but I feel like it really became a thing in the 90s around this time frame, which was Warheads.
Oh, fucking love Warheads.
Yeah, I'm a big sour person. I like sour beer. I like sour is just like I can't do spicy anymore because I'm getting older and this, I've destroyed my insides with spicy food already. So I go the other way and about once a year I order just a fucking big bag of Warheads and it'll last you like months. But I just love it, especially if you've never had one before because they're not readily available. I don't see them in stores. I have to order them off like Amazon.
I see them in like random bodega type stores where I live.
Yeah,
I'm like,
it's never like at a Target or like something.
no.
But it was always fun in the 90s because especially if you've never had one before, you give one to your friend and go, oh no, it's just candy, don't worry. And then just
yes, that moment when they realize and you're just like,
yeah,
got you.
Yeah. And then you're like, I just had 10 of them and now my tongue hurts, but I'm happy, All right. And then my number one go-to 90s, 94. I ate this a ton. Honestly, still eat them to this day every now and then. And I know it's basic, but I love a fucking Lunchable. I love a Lunchable.
Oh my God.
Lunchables were like the cool kid food, I feel like, and at least in my school. Like if you brought a Lunchable, everyone was like, oh shit, I wish I had a fucking Lunchable. Like I got peanut butter sandwich. I want. And it's crackers, cheese, and meat. It's a fucking deli platter. Like it's so simple, but like I'm just like, that's what I want. Now I literally, if they're on sale, you buy 10 of them for $10. I'll eat like 2 of them for a meal, but yeah.
My kid is obsessed with Lunchables. But it's like an adult charcuterie board.
It's exactly what it is. And you get a little Nestle Crunch bar and if you get the good one, you get the Capri Sun too.
But now they're like all fancy because they have like nachos and they have pizza.
No, I don't like those ones. The pizza one is disgusting.
That's what she gets all the time. She thinks it's the best thing ever. She's like, Mom, I'm like, you're going to eat the fucking pizza cold.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's not pizza. It's a soft crack. It's like a soft thing. You put cold fucking marinara sauce on it and like 5 pieces of sprinkled cheese. That's disgusting. But the meat and cheese one, fucking great.
Turkey. Give me ham. Give me, yes. And didn't they used to come with Capri Suns?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they used to come with Capri Sun. I think there's, at least from what I've seen, at least at the grocery store I go to, because I only buy them when they're on sale. They will go on sale for 10 for 10. There's like 2 versions of them. There's a version without a drink that's cheaper, and then there's like a bigger version that comes with like a little. I don't think it's a Capri Sun anymore. I think it's just like a generic juice box. But there's it's like a bigger, more expensive one. But I'm like, hey man, I'm fucking in my 30s now. I can get my own Capri Sun. All right.
I got this. This is on my own, and I get my own full-size candy bar. Yeah.
Also, you do feel weird. At least you have a child, so you're buying Lunchables, and you're like, you have an excuse. Your kid might even be there next to you. I just have to be like, nope, grown man buying 10 Lunchables.
I appreciate that because Lunchables was such a staple in my childhood, and you're right too. Like when you opened up your lunchbox, your metal lunchbox, and you pull out a fucking Lunchable, kids are like, whoa.
Yeah, it was definitely and especially at that time, I don't know if they're older than that. I feel like they're a 90s thing. It was super, super popular in the 90s and probably just easy for fucking parents. I mean, think about it. If you're a parent, you got to wake up and make your shitty kids some fun.
I didn't like this kid.
Like, I mean, let's be real. Some kids are just They're just shitty. But you gotta legally feed it. So you're like,
Yeah.
all right, like, I mean, I can wake up like 20 minutes earlier and make it some food, or I just throw some fucking I jam these crackers and cheese in a bag and I say, here you go.
But you're the one that secretly wants them. So what does that say about us? We're like, here, eat this.
Oh, I mean, yeah,
But I want it.
even better. The fucking dumb kid doesn't even know he's being neglected.
And now I want a goddamn Lunchable.
I would never turn one down. That's why they were my number one on my list.
Oh, they're so goddamn good. Oh,
Which, I mean, I don't know what that says about me, but I love Lunchables.
I was gonna put it on my list, and then I'm like, I have to like stay true to like the snack that I always ate, which is super weird and it's gonna be left field, but
Let's hear it. Well, let's hear your list.
so my number, I gotta check to see what I wrote down though. Okay. Because I put like 6 on there, so I have to narrow it down. So my third one was, do you remember Planters, the cheese balls that came in the round cylinder?
I have, I think, the generic version in my it might be Planners in my fucking cabinet right now. It's like this, it's like this big too. I don't know if it's
Well, back in the day, they're like, it was like this size, and my
okay.
grandfather, so he would sit in front of his window, and he had his chair and another chair and a like little table with like a dresser, pretty much, and he would have his caramels with the frosting in the middle. As I'm doing this sign, the camera. But you remember those?
I know exactly what you're talking about, but and you also called it frosting, which I like too. It was cream.
Yeah.
But you know, there's a frosting right there in the middle.
You know those. So he'd have a bag of those strawberry juice. And I never ask him like that. Hey, Papa, can I get a caramel?
Frosting now.
You gotta just cut a clip of me just go.
Oh, I might get flagged, but I'll do it.
Please. So he'd have like his caramel chews, his strawberry candies, and his cheese balls, and they were always so goddamn fucking cheesy. Like better than a cheese doodle, but they were so goddamn good. So that's my number 3.
All right, excellent choice. By the way, I think I'm going to cut it to us. Just we're both doing this, and I want to cut it to you and me, baby.
Please, that would be the best clip ever to exist.
Okay. Anyway, number 2.
This is why we did this. This is perfect. Number 2 is a tie, and I'm going to say both, but Fruit by the Foot and Gushers.
Oof, such good ones. I forgot about Fruit by the Foot. Totally.
Oh my, and you know what reminded me of it was Yellow Jackets, and they were she made a comment that she has Fruit by the Foot. She's like, I got like 5 of them, and I'm like, do you know how much like fucking substance you have if you have 5 Fruit by the Foots?
Yeah.
Like, so those and Gushers, I fucking, oh man.
I've not seen the show, so that reference may not mean too much to me, but I'm like, yeah, there's lots of food in the 5 of those.
But Yellow Jackets is the perfect 90s nod to the 90s. And I can't believe you haven't watched it. I thought you did say you watched it.
No, I want to watch it because it has Christina Ricci and there's a bunch of people I like, but I've not seen it. And I think it's on Showtime, right?
Yes, and we just binged the fuck out of it. You need to watch it. It's so good.
Yeah, maybe I'll wait until they do like a free trial or something or whatever, and then do that. But no, that's why I want to see it. I've heard great things, but I have no context of what the show is. So I felt a disconnect when you were like, "There's so much sustenance there," and I was like, "Yes."
I think I know what you're talking about, but don't look it up. Don't look anything up. We went in having no idea what it was about, and I'm glad that we did because it's so much more. There's just so much more, and I think it's one of the best shows that I've ever watched.
Okay, wow, all right, I'm into it. I got too many goddamn streaming services as it is. So Showtime, you put that free promo up, and I'll do it in a month.
Better fucking do it. I'll give you my password if not, or whatever. So you'll be able to watch it. But my number 1, and I want them right now, are motherfucking corn nuts. Do you remember
Oof.
corn nuts?
Yeah, they still sell them out here.
They sell them at the dollar store where we live, and I went in, I'm not even shitting you, for my kid's birthday party to get candy, and I saw it and I was like, fuck, they have pico de gallo, picante, nacho cheese. I think I spent like $20 on corn nuts.
I will admit that is one that I enjoy the flavor of, but I cannot
Mhm.
eat them because they're so fucking hard. And I know the people who love them, that's what they love about them. They love like how
Oh,
hard and crunchy they are. But for me, I'm just like I'm like, how many of these am I going to be able to eat before my luck runs out and I crack a tooth? Like,
my mom cracked a tooth, and you would think that would like have scarred me because she fucking bit into a ranch one and like chipped her tooth, and she was freaking out. And I'm like, give me your bag. You're fucking done with it. Give me it.
yeah, I know there's a diehard fandom for it, and like just to like when I eat them, I'm like I do enjoy them, but I'm like, man, like I can't. I'm like I can't afford this fucking dental work. Like I'll just get a peanut instead. Like, like if I really need something close to this, just give me some fucking Planters peanuts and we'll call it a day.
Me, it was like a couple weekends ago. I was wasted. I drank quite a bit, and I was just like, arm. And I was mowing him, and Greg's like, honey, you're gonna choke. I'm like, okay. Just like, I destroyed a whole bag of them. They were so good. And I feel like they were kind of like marshmallows because I had such a buzz. They were just so easy to
Oh, it
bust into.
just went down like yeah, I get you.
Oh, what I would give for a bag of corn nuts right now.
Yeah, eat those right in the microphone. Yeah.
The audio playing over.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yes.
as I was saying, the frosting.
We have
Chomp, chomp, chomp.
Arr, arr, arr. Oh, hi. Okay. So now that we've talked about our snacks, so now it is we are in the year 1994, and our parents say to us, where would you like to go eat? Where would you like to go for dinner? Where are you going?
In 94, if I'm correct, that was before the invention, or at least it was before I was aware of the spicy chicken sandwich at Wendy's. So
Mm,
that it would have because that's been my go-to ever since, probably will be till the day I die.
yes.
And if I eat too many of them, it won't be too far off. But it will it probably would have been McDonald's. That's such a boring answer. So can I give a different one?
Of course. But McDonald's, because remember the awesome toys we would get?
Yeah, the toys, and honestly, I don't know. I think there was a point in time where like that I enjoyed, which was like when I graduated from Happy Meal to like real meal. And I don't know why, but there was something about that period where I'm like, I don't get the Happy Meal anymore and I lose the toy, but like, now I'm getting a double cheeseburger and
Yes.
or even graduating from that, when oh, now I'm getting a quarter pounder, which I mean, it just explains why like we're fat as fuck, but like not like we here, but I mean like us as a nation and partly myself, but like it does feel like that. It felt like that you go through like, okay, you get the Happy Meal, which is a burger, fries, and a drink, which should be more than a fucking enough. But then we're like, okay, now you get a double cheeseburger, burger, fries, and a drink.
Yep.
Okay, now you get a quarter. Now I'm 15. Now I get a quarter pounder. And then they were like, you fat fucks out there. All right, we're gonna make a double quarter pounder with cheese. And I
And
ordered that shit
supersize it.
too. Yeah, and supersize it. Fuck Morgan Spurlock. But anyway, I think I should have the right to supersize my shit if I want to.
Absolutely.
Anyway, that would be the honest answer. Is as a kid, I mean, McDonald's was where I wanted to go.
I picked McDonald's originally. And then I
Mm.
was like, because just even going to eat at a McDonald's.
Oh, like the actual experience of like being inside of one.
Yeah, because remember, like when you're a kid, and the smell of it, like it smelled like milkshakes and the burgers and the fries, and then you had like the characters at some of the places where you could play.
Yes. And they had some of them had like a play pen or whatever the fuck it was called.
Yes.
It was, and like honestly, the thought of it now as like an adult who was a germaphobe, like it would, like I would honestly rather drink all of the water in my own toilet than go into that ball pit. But like,
Oh,
like the thought of me going into that ball pit at 34 years of age
couldn't do
makes me
it.
physically ill thinking about it. But as a kid, you don't give a shit about these things. You have no concept of sickness or life expectancy or any of this. So you're
None.
just like, yeah. And it was super fun.
Yeah. I mean, your parents are just like, go ahead. Give me a minute to sit and smoke my cigarette. Like
What
back
about,
because
oh, I'm sorry. Go.
well, say back in the days you could smoke in
Yep.
these places. So
What about when they used to run like really weird promotions that I feel like they don't run anymore? Do you remember when they used to run promotions like you could walk up to a counter? I remember one distinctly because my brother and my cousin like fucked me over on it. But
oh
like McDonald's used to run a promotion around this time frame where
yeah.
if you walked up to the counter and you said, "I love this place," they would give you a small fry.
No.
That was like a promotion they ran for a period of time. And there might have been a stipulation to it, like you already had to have bought some shit or something. I don't know.
And you can't come up like 6 times and be like,
Yeah,
"Hey."
probably something like that. But there was like a promotion they ran like that. And I'll never forget it because we went to the movies, me and my brother and my cousin and my grandma and my cousin's mom. And they went, and afterwards we went to Little Caesars, and they're
Mhm.
like, you know how that works, right? So if you go up there, they're like, it's the same here as it is at McDonald's, Sam. You go up there and they give you free breadsticks. So like a little fucking dumbass, I go up there and I'm staring at the lady and I'm just like, hey, I love this place. And she's like, oh,
Cool.
okay. And I'm like, I love this place. And she's like, okay. And I just keep saying it like over and over again, like as if like we were in like a war that she didn't know she was having. And I was like, you're gonna give me some fucking breadsticks.
She's probably like, "What is wrong with this fucking kid?" You're like, "This bitch."
Yeah.
Give me
Yeah. Eventually, I think they had to come up and be like, Sam, it's like we were just fucking with you. And I was like, oh, well, all right.
And that pissed you off even more. So you're like, well, now you're fucking buying me breadsticks.
No. I wish I could say I was like that cool of a kid, but I was probably just like, I'm telling mom.
Man, Little Caesar, I used to get from Little Caesars a pizza with no sauce and just black olives.
Okay.
That was
Okay.
my jam when I was a kid because I don't know, I didn't like tomatoes and I didn't like tomato sauce.
Yeah, it's really more cheese bread than a pizza then. But
Pretty
I,
much. And everyone's like, black olives. I'm like, I fucking used to wear them on my fingers. You know?
I'm down. Well, I'm down for it because I'm a veggie pizza person.
Yes.
I'm not a I will eat I'm not a vegetarian. We had a hot dog conversation. I just
Right.
prefer veggie pizza. So I love black olives on my pizza, so I'm all for it. Never put them on my fingers like that. And did one of these, but
I do it to my grandma because for like Thanksgiving, I'd put them out and I'd sit there and I'd pluck them on my fingers and do that. My grandfather, Jordana. I'm like, what?
did that with the bugles, but never thought to stick them in some veggies. And
Oh, bugles too. Those were a good 90s snack
yeah,
ish.
I think they still exist. Maybe.
Oh, they definitely do.
I'm trying to think. I feel like I don't see them on the shelf at my store, but I don't know. My store sucks.
A lot of stores suck now. For me, I would be going to fucking Pizza Hut. Because Pizza Hut back in the day with your personal pan with the golden crisp crust and the salad bar was banging. Oh my God.
The biggest thing, you just hit it right there, in addition to the salad bar, is back when Pizza Hut was a sit-down restaurant parlor. In addition to delivery, you got to have delivery, but
Yeah.
the parlor experience was fucking phenomenal.
That was like my excitement. Like I got so excited to go to Pizza Hut when I was little. And they had was it Metroid or whatever the game? It was a flat game where at my Pizza Hut, and they would have the chairs and you could go sit and play the video game.
Yeah, I know. But one of the coolest things that ever happened when I was still living at my parents' house, right before I moved out, my dad bought one. He's like, I came home one day and I was like, what is this? And he's like, I just wanted one. He's like, so I found a guy who was living in Detroit, so I just drove out and I got one. I was like, so like every time to this day that I go and visit like my dad, like, you know, we'll sit there and drink beer and we just fucking, you know, we're playing fucking Pac-Man and Dig Dug and
That's amazing. I would go to your dad's house all the time. I'd be like, can we go over see your dad?
It's really cool. Yeah.
That's awesome. But like, you're right. Pizza Hut as a sit down was an experience. That was that. And like, even Taco Bell, you could go into Taco Bell and you could sit down. I mean, they didn't come out and serve you, but I felt like it was more like, you could sit and have your meal, and it felt like a restaurant other than fast food.
Yeah, no, I agreed. I mean, I feel fortunate that my local Pizza Hut still has a little bit of a parlor, but most Pizza Huts, like most pizza places, period, in the country right now, outside of like mom and pop shops, pretty much have done away with that. They're like just all delivery, all pickup. Take your fucking pizza and get the fuck out of my building.
I know. And you know what's crazy too is how things have shifted for pizza. This is how much I love pizza because, you know, I'm like a huge pizza fan.
I'm aware you're a fan.
Is now the sponsor of the Super Bowl in football is Little Caesars. Like Pizza Hut is no more with football.
I think Pizza Hut is, as much as I love it. All right, here's a question for you. This is a question that I ask all. I legitimately not joking. I ask every single one of my friends this.
Okay.
I would say universally, the 4 biggest chain pizzas in the country are this, as follows, no particular order: Papa John's, Pizza Hut, Domino's, Little Caesars. Rank them best to worst. What would you say?
So I would. Okay. Well, currently, like how the quality of food that it is now.
Yeah, this is just on food, not on like nostalgia and love, because that would change some things. But yeah.
Oh, definitely. So for me, and where I'm locationally where I am at, it would be Domino's, Little Caesars, Papa John's, Pizza Hut.
Okay. Everyone's different. Everyone's got it. Mine would be Domino's. I still prefer Pizza Hut over most pizzas as far as it goes. Little Caesars, and then I fucking hate Papa John's, and I hate it.
The only thing that I like about Papa John's is when I was in my meat lovers phase, because I feel like any pizza person kind of goes through like the notions, like they have their set favorite, and then there's like, you know, like I don't want to say like a fad, but it kind of like a bacon chicken ranch or something like that. But
or like the buffalo pizza that was popular for a little while, and
yes, or like do you remember when Pizza Hut did the New York style, the big New Yorker?
I remember the name, but I don't remember what it was.
It was fucking divine, is what it was, and it was it was the best pizza. Oh, my! Thinking about it is making my mouth water. But we would get that with like Mountain Dew and Pepsi and breadsticks and get really high and play Nintendo 64. But that's when it was out, was the Nintendo 64 time.
Okay. All right.
And it was the sauce was so sweet and so good. But now I used to prefer Pizza Hut, but Pizza Hut where I'm at sucks. Huge donkey balls. It's horrible.
I have heard that it has fallen off. It's obviously now it's very dependent on location.
Yes.
At least the one by me is still pretty good. But yeah, right now I think as far as chains go, I think Domino's is killing it. But it's shocking to me that Pizza Hut has lost so much market value that it is. I don't even see ads anymore for it. Like I don't see anything for it.
The only thing that I've seen recently is was it Tracy Morgan?
Craig Robinson.
Excuse me for that. He started to be on some Pizza Hut commercials, and that's the only way that I've really seen it.
And those commercials are bullshit.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I get so angry about this. Those commercials, the entire purpose of those commercials, and I love Craig Robinson, are to make you feel nostalgic for the day. They even have the parlor light and everything, except none of the fucking Pizza Huts have that anymore.
It's non-existent. It's Wing Street, and there's nothing.
if you're going to do an ad campaign focusing on the nostalgia, then you better be shipping those fucking lights and those tables out to every single one of your fucking restaurants.
And give my kid a fucking book it party fucking ticket
Yeah.
so she can come get her personal pan.
And get some goddamn arcade games in there and get like, it's crazy to me to have a ad campaign focusing on something that you no longer offer. Like that would be like, it'd be like if they came out and were like the Big New Yorker or the whatever. It'd be like, that was cool, wasn't it? Well, try our shitty new pizza.
Yeah. This is called the fucking Floridian.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's bait and switch. And they're doing a lot of that lately with things. I won't say with what particularly, but I think you know what bait and switch I'm pissed about still. It's a
Halloween.
movie. Yes.
Yes. You're like, I won't say it. And I'm like, Halloween?
Because it's blatant bullshit. It's a fucking lie. And the only reason you're saying that is because you can only show this, you can't produce it. So fuck off.
Exactly. And we know it'll get you interested. And maybe you'll fucking throw us $15 to see our shitty movie or eat our shitty food.
And then after you order that food, you're like, I should have fucking just ordered Domino's.
Yeah.
Because Domino's is number one. Oh, God. I just want to say, too, real quick, for anyone who's watching and you, I'm looking over because I'm being stared at by my dog. Come on. Come on. Come on. So if we have a guest, he might pop up, which I think he's going to. Come on. Get up here.
Nope.
Do you see his head?
I see him. He's kind of bouncing around behind your name, but yeah, he's there. Oh, there he is. There he is.
The little cutie pie. Come on. All right. Anyway.
My cutie pie is sleeping on the he's knocked out actually. Well, I guess he did just eat like a metric ton of cheese. So
that cheese ball probably put him in sleepy mode.
Yeah.
Yes.
Cool.
So yeah, so that's pretty much done for our like food phase. So now let's talk about a category I'm particularly excited about is 94 fashion.
All right. So 94 fashion, here's the deal. I was 6, so I didn't dress like this, but if you stuck me in 94, I would have absolutely been a grunge guy. I would have wore the baggy ripped up pants and the fucking, work shirts and all that. Absolutely would have done it. That being said, aesthetically, it looks great for the time.
Yeah.
But I don't know. There's something about it that also is like, it would have been me too. Cause I'm the type of person who's like just jeans, t-shirt, go. But it honestly, it looked, when you look at like the super 90s, like grunge kids and whatnot, I'm like, that looks like you're trying so fucking hard. Like,
yeah,
you're putting more work into not trying than you are trying, like
true.
And it just looks basic and also big and heavy. So I'm not into that. I like form fitting and a little loose, like not super tight, but like I want it to fit my body. So instead of going with grunge clothing as my pick, which I absolutely would have bought into that fad, although I might have been more still like a metal guy. I don't know. I'm going to go with just a general thing that I loved in the 90s, and that is hats.
Yeah, hats were major back in the 90s.
Hats were everywhere, and I'm not talking baseball hats. Like I'm talking hats. Like hats were. There were celebrities that were synonymous with certain types of hats. Blossom. I can't say her name. Synonymous with whatever the fuck that thing was on her head.
Yes.
LL Cool J with the bucket hat,
Oh yeah. Yep.
And then here's my personal favorite, because to this day he has not stopped wearing them, and I have this here because whatever the fuck this hat is that he's wearing, Samuel L. Jackson still wears them to every premiere to this day. I think it's a golfing hat. I don't know what it is, but he loves it.
My husband wears those. They're like derby caps, but he wears them forward.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm not a hat person. I own one hat. It's basically my fuck it hat. It's like if I don't feel like combing my hair today, like that's what I wear.
Here's my hat. Yes.
But I just I don't feel like you see hats anymore, like besides a baseball cap, frontwards, backwards, maybe, and that's about it. I love the idea of the 90s having this just, and it was like, it was almost as if they walked into a store and were just like, the idea was like, let's find the weirdest fucking hat we can find and throw it on our heads and pretend that it's normal. You know,
Yes.
you would see, I'm not joking. One of the first things that popped, I Googled grunge hat because I was just like, what comes up? Maybe something.
Yeah.
First thing that popped up was kids sitting around in fucking flannels and those like Elmer Fudd hats. Like, and I was like, all right. So
there we go.
So my answer for 90s fashion is just the fucking weird fucking hats that everybody wore. And I honestly wish it made a comeback.
I think it might, because honestly, like the fashion trends that are coming back now, we might see like a wave of hats, which I wouldn't be upset about. I wish I could pull off hats. I have a really big head, or I have a lot of hair.
Oh.
My fucking melon is big. Oh, yes! Perfect. I wanted to use that tonight. Look at this gargantuan thing.
I feel like it's like Wayne's World. Whoa!
What does he say?
It's been a while. Speaking of 90s.
I know. And that was one of my all-time favorites. Extreme close up.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
what it was.
That's really good. Blossom. I used to love Blossom.
Yep. So
yes.
for you've kind of mentioned it already twice, so I can feel that this might have been the question you're chomping at the bit to answer the most. What is your 94 fashion style or article or whatever that you really like?
Well, I mean, I had to go with it was like a three-way tie. I know this is not fair, but this is like what I associated with the 90s. Corduroy.
Oh God.
Because I was in like fucking corduroy skirts, corduroy pants, even if it was 90 out, I was still in fucking corduroys.
I remember it. Nightmares.
The thin corduroy, the cords, the thick corduroy cords. So and literally I had shorts, I had skirts, I had pants, you fucking name it, I had corduroy.
I had a singular pair of corduroy pants that I wore during like that like pop punk phase in high school that I like, and like where the idea was, you wear the weirdest shit you can find basically. And like it was a pair of green corduroy pants that were like skin tight, and they were just really weird, and it fit the motif. But I just remember like sweating my ass off in them. Like it was like, I'm like, Jesus, like they should use these for N95 masks because there's no air getting through them.
That, or like you think walking in heels for like fashion week in the fashion industry is tough. Put on a pair of fucking corduroys and tell me how you function in a day. Like
it's a workout.
It is. And I mean, but like I love them, but it was just a lot to wear. And then my second is a lot to wear, but I had them and I still wish I had them now, but sweater vests.
Oh, okay. All right. I remember that again. Blossom wore a lot of that shit too, like very 90s.
Yep, the argyle print or a plain one, maybe some fur. So vests were like major for me. I loved it.
I feel like the wacky best friend always wore one. Like Screech wore a sweater, like a vest all the time.
Yes, and then it was cool when Cher wore them in Clueless, which was my like coming of age movie. So of course I wanted to wear the sweater vest with the matching skirt, plaid skirt, and the knee highs and the platforms and all that shit. So that was very close. And then the last one was, oh God, what did I put? Flannels.
Oh, I mean, what defined the 90s more than that?
And I love the big, bulky, huge flannels. But again, my grandmother was, nope, you're wearing corduroys, a sweater vest under your t-shirt. And I couldn't, I had to get like you said, form fitting. Like I couldn't get bigger baggy clothes. She was very particular with how I presented myself. So now I have all of Greg's old big flannels that I wear all the time. And I'm wearing my own right now.
I was gonna say it's right now. You're rocking it right now.
Yeah. So I mean, I just feel like that's essential.
Honestly, like it has to be the 90s, especially the early 90s, like article of clothing. It is that.
Yes. And it's timeless because think of over the years, like, I mean, you see it so much more now. You see all these, girls with the 90s leggings, like the short biker leggings and a flannel. And it's like, oh, it's acceptable now. But if I fucking left the house in the actual 90s, I would have got my ass kicked.
Yeah.
So yeah. So there's that.
Jordana, get over here.
Why? I just want a caramel.
Oh God.
Just going to buy some. No big deal.
They got the frosting in the middle.
I literally cannot wait for that clip. I'm so excited. So, and this category, I was really excited about too, because I was really excited about, but, what was your favorite like toy or game that you played with in the 90s?
Well, I went specifically for 94. Because a toy, I was hoping that there was like a more iconic one. The only one I could find was there was like this like Volcano Man thing that I had owned. It was like almost like a Power Ranger, like you built him out of like smaller things.
Yes.
But it wasn't as iconic. So I'm like, all right. So I went to the video game side of thing. I'm like, what games were iconic in 94 that came out?
Oh yeah.
And there's one that I think truthfully defined maybe a huge, I would say probably defined 1990 to 95, maybe outside of like Sonic, which it's NBA Jam. NBA Jam came out in 94. I don't know if you've ever played. Everyone knows what NBA Jam is, right?
I feel like I've played that because I was such a video game person. So I played anything and everything on my Super Nintendo, Genesis, Sega Genesis.
NBA Jam it was like a cartoon version of basketball. It was only 2-on-2, which is really, I don't know why they made that choice, but they did. It was like you would literally like the commentary on it was like probably the most famous part is like when you would get like, say you score, I think it was 2 baskets in a row. They would be like, he's heating up. And then you score the third one and they'd be like, he's on fire. And then the ball literally would like erupt in flames as you were like dunking. And they would have like catchphrases like boom shakalaka. And like, it was just like a real, I mean, to this day, like they like, even like at like big box stores now, you see like, I don't know if you've seen like in like Targets and Walmarts and Best Buys and shit, they sell like smaller versions of like arcade games now.
Yes.
And the NBA Jam one just came out this year. Like it's a fucking really big game. Probably in my opinion, the best sports game ever made. And I'm not really a sports person outside of football.
Yep.
So for me to pick NBA Jam as the best and biggest and most influential game of 94, I don't know. I think that says something, at least in my mind, because I would rather be like, Sonic and Knuckles, but it's like, well, there was like 5 of those games at that point, like, and it's kind of the same thing at that point. So yeah,
there was a lot of Sonic and Knuckles. A lot of Sonic was very heavy in 94.
Yeah, they kind of bastardized it at a point and it started to suck after a while, which is why they sold it to Nintendo and now it is what it is.
We won't touch on that subject.
Yeah, nerd alert over here. I like games.
So do I. That's when I thought of the question, I looked at toys too, thinking that something was big back then, but nothing really was. But who am I kidding? I was a video game nerd back in the day, and I still rock the old systems. I don't play like a lot of new stuff. Like my kid plays Fortnite. I played a couple rounds, and I got when you place number 1 and you get the battle royale, whatever it is.
Winner chicken dinner.
Yeah, I got that. And she was like, she had this expression of like her tears were in her eyes. And she's like, Mom, I'm like, I don't even know what I just did. Like, I'm just shooting people. And she's like, but you won. And I'm like, okay. Yay, I'm excited, but I didn't know what I did. So newer stuff I'm not the best at, but I will play Super Nintendo, N64, Nintendo games, Switch, all of that.
I get you on that. It kind of reminds me of so do you remember playing GoldenEye? You ever play that back in the day?
Yes.
So the GoldenEye remake, re-release, whatever, it just hit Xbox last night and it was free. So, I downloaded it and me and Deanna were like, my partner, we're
Yep.
like, all right, let's play it. And we're like, we're at first we were like, so we're like, oh, this is gonna be great. GoldenEye was the greatest fucking game ever back in the day. And then you're like, oh my God, like
What is this?
we were shooting at each other and like, I mean, it was literally, we were like 6 feet away from each other. We both had pistols and we probably had to fire. At one point I was like, I have 500 bullets. I was like, Deanna, I don't know if I have enough because like like you couldn't hit each other. It was so shitty. And I'm like, it has to be just the controls from N64 to Xbox, but my God, it did not age well.
That would have frustrated the shit out of me. I would have been like, I'm not fucking playing.
Oh, she played 2 rounds and she's like, you can keep playing. I'm like, I'm good. I'm like, it was free.
Good.
I'm like, it was free. We've had enough.
That's how I feel though because on our Switch we have a membership, so you can get Nintendo and Super Nintendo games. And okay, so before I tell the story, did you have any other games or is it just that one?
Just NBA Jam.
So my number one pick was Donkey Kong Country, because that game literally, like, for me, changed the game. During the summer, I woke up at 7 o'clock just to play that, and I would put my little bean bag in front of my grandma's little TV, and I'd start playing, and then she'd come down at like 8. You need to stop playing. You need to go outside and get some fresh air after breakfast. Blah, blah, blah. So I would sneak away to my friend's house, and he had a pool. We'd swim for like 15, 20 minutes, go in his house and play fucking Donkey Kong.
Oh,
like addicted to it.
One of the best games of the N64 ever.
Yes. But so for me, mine was, I played it on the Super Nintendo, but now it's on.
Oh, I'm sorry, Donkey Kong Country. I'm sorry. No, I misheard.
You're good. I knew what you were saying. But now on the goddamn Switch, you try to play it and play with a little tiny paddle, and even if you have it connected, so your 2 paddles are like an actual game controller, it sucks. I can't get past one level, and I'm telling you what, Sam, during the pandemic, I would go upstairs and lock myself in the bedroom to get past it. And Greg and my kid would come up and they're like, are you coming out? And like, just leave me alone. And I have to get the audio. I wish you could like interject it right now, but it's the one where it's the parrot and they're flying and the music's like all, magical. And it's like, I can't even make the noise, but I made a song up because I was so pissed. I'm like, I will be strong. I will move on. And I would sing it when I would get to that part, and then I'd fucking lose. And I was just like, I start screaming.
Now, I agree. I think there is something from the ports from the old controls to the new controls. It just doesn't work. They're not as fluid.
No, and it sucks and it drives me nuts because I used to be so good at playing these games, and now that I can't because of what I have is infuriating, and I hate it.
I get it. Trust me, I get that 100%.
But I could literally sit in front. I could play video games all damn day.
I often do.
Yes.
which is why I know too many random facts about other dumb bullshit. So that I believe brought us to the end of the 90s segment, the meat of the matter. But I think we wanted to start with a new segment we're going to do a game or some sort of smaller segment, almost like a dessert after the main course.
Yes, a palate cleanser.
And I'm going to call this one tentatively. This game is going to be called Dude, Where's My Decade?
Yeah.
It's a terrible name. I came up with it in like 2 seconds. We got to come up with something better.
It's perfect. Dude, where's my decade? It's like, no, we're keeping that. It's going to be trademark. No.
Dude, okay. Dude, where's my decade? I have found 6 trailers for movies, and I'm going to play either the majority or pieces of them. And you'll have to use context clues or just the general vibe or feel or whatever to try and see if you can guess what year you think this movie might have came out in and see how close you can get.
Okay.
And then also just possibly comment on the trailer itself a little bit, because I'm not going to lie, I picked some weird ones.
Yes.
I have seen 3 of these, 6 of these, and one of which I will be seeing very soon because it looks amazing.
Oh, okay.
So you may have seen some of these. All right, Jordana, you ready to go?
I'm ready. Let's go.
All right.
I'm excited. I'm nervous.
Channel 62 has the lowest ratings in the history of television. What they need is a new station manager.
No, not him. Forget it. No way.
A man of action.
For,
A man of
I know this. I know this. And
for the listeners, there's a pretty famous actor or musician on screen right now.
what they get is
well,
a
I
man
can
so
see
desperate,
the cover of this
anyone
because
will
I
be
see his face with the glasses.
Yeah, George. How'd you like your own TV show? Okay. You get to drink from the fire hose.
Okay. Oh my God. This is now it's not necessarily in the 90s, correct?
No, this is it can be from anywhere. All right, let's start with, do you know who the main actor is?
Weird Al.
Okay, all right.
And I saw Kramer.
Yes. So for anyone out there, if you know which movie Weird Al, I guess I could tell you what the name of it. Well, let's see if you can guess the name.
Okay, so I literally just went through, and this was the cover, and it was his face, and he had on the weird glasses, and yes, and the crazy hair, and I cannot think because this is what pressure does to me. I draw a blank. Fuck. I want to say this is 87 or 88.
Very close. Good job. 89 when this released. So
Yep.
I mean, so close. I mean, that's honestly, I mean, that's at least worth half a point. I think if you're within 2 years, you can get half a point.
Is this like, I don't even want to say radio. It's because I literally, that's how I remembered that
It's
it
3
was in the
letters.
80s.
3
It's
letters.
not, tell me. It's going to drive me nuts.
It's UHF,
Yes.
which stood for ultra high frequency.
We literally just scrolled through the comedies, and that was on there. And Greg asked me if I've ever seen it, and I said no.
It's worth a watch if you enjoy Weird Al. I mean, it's what you saw there. It's him dressed as Rambo with big muscle suit on. Kramer's a pretty big part in the movie, actually. I think it was his big move. I think it was the biggest thing he did before he got Seinfeld.
Wow.
But yeah, I quite enjoy that movie. That is one of the 6 that I have seen.
Yep. Okay.
All right. So we'll say you're on the board. We'll go half a point there.
That seems fair, even though I was not fully on, but that seems fair.
I mean, to get right on the money is pretty big.
Yes.
All right, so here is number 2, and I'm not gonna lie, this is where they go off the rails. The first one is the most normal one.
Oh God, I'm scared. Oh. What? It's a Sasquatch rock.
For the listeners, there's just a giant head on the screen shooting out guns.
Oh my God, I know this because it's what's his name? It's James Bond. It's fucking Sean Connery.
It's Sean Connery in a diaper made of bullets.
Yes. Oh my God, my ex-coworker has the picture of him in this outfit on their wall.
Yep.
This is 78.
All right, very close. 74. I tried to trick you on that one. I thought you might get it because it weirdly opens. The opening shot is, it says beyond 1984, beyond space, beyond time, which I'm like, why wouldn't they say beyond 1974 when the fucking movie came out? Like, why did they pick like it just seems so? I thought you'd be like, I was trying to trick you, but no, you got closer than I thought.
I knew it was 70s, and I don't know the name of it. What is it?
It's Zardoz.
So that's what it was. When motherfucker.
Yeah, I've seen that one as well. You can, if you want to maybe drop acid before you watch it.
Well,
it's a weird one, and there's a lot of Sean Connery in a diaper sexually assaulting people.
See, I didn't think that was real because my ex-coworker, she was like obsessed with Sean Connery and said that like that's one of the sexiest pictures. I'm like, this is fake.
That's one of the sexiest pictures. What?
Questionable, isn't it?
Okay, first of all, I get Sean Connery. Like, if you were like, yeah, him as James Bond, or I don't know, maybe I don't really think of Sean Connery as a sex symbol outside of James Bond, but to be like this movie where he's in a diaper.
He has like a long ponytail.
Yeah. And if you actually watch the movie, a portion of it is him just punching women. And like,
oh my God.
It's fucking crazy.
Is it sad though? Not that I don't condone that, but I do want to watch it now just to see how fucking ridiculous it is.
It's worth a watch if you're like, I just want to see something that's crazy and makes no fucking sense. It's absolutely worth a watch for that. At least once.
Okay, I'll do it.
It is fucking long though, I will tell you that.
Damn, maybe I should take acid and make it quicker.
All right. Next up is this one is the whole trailer. This is a very short trailer, and I will let you know that. So it's the whole thing.
All right.
Stupid adults believe it. Yeah. These are good hot dogs.
What? What is it? What is that behind them?
Your guess is as good as mine. It's the God Monster of Indian flesh. Oh.
Is this a spoof?
This is a real movie that did come out. I won't tell you in what year, but it's a real full-length movie. I don't know if it's a spoof or not, but it exists and went to theaters.
This to me, not necessary, but like has notes of like an Eli Roth fake trailer. Like weird. So I'm gonna say that was 78.
Oh, 73. I honestly would not have picked 70s. Like you said, it almost feels like it's a parody. Like you could have pictured this coming out in like 2006 and like, you know, it was a joke or something.
I was totally going to say that too. I was going to say, I feel like this is like a 2008 or 9, but something was telling me it's like 70s.
I mean, think of it as just a trailer. It's literally just like 4 girls talking and then this fucked up snuffleupagus comes out of the
hairy ballsack.
I don't even know what it is. Just comes out, doesn't even do anything, just kind of waves its weird trunk at them, and then they run away. And then it like a fat kid who like got caught in the cookie jar, just kind of like scuffles away, and it runs like Big Bird. Like
this is like Sesame Street on acid.
Yes, that is the God Monster of Indian Flats for the listeners. If you're not watching the visual component, it's looks amazing. Looks just wonderful.
I need to know what streaming platform that's on because I want. Is it on Tubi?
If it's on anything, it's got to be Tubi.
Okay, I'm gonna look for that one.
This next one, I think you're gonna appreciate this trailer. If you've not already seen it, this is probably the longest one I'm going to show though. So just, but you'll get why. I think you'll like this trailer.
Mm.
All right.
Listen to the warnings before digging up the sacred ground of the dead.
This, just the fucking man talking is amazing.
Yeah, I knew you'd love that.
I love it.
Scalps.
Scalps.
Now they have awakened a terror unknown.
Oh my God.
I'm not even going to talk during this.
Stop
I have to talk a little bit just for copyright reasons, so we do have to talk just a little bit. But
okay.
You keep.
Enter a bizarre new world of unspeakable horror. Never
Oh
before
my
shown in
God.
motion picture.
I want to watch this right now. I do. Okay, so I'm gonna say that this was 82.
Oh, 1 second here.
Oh.
I actually realized that this is the only one I didn't write down. So give me 1 second.
Is it really called Scalps?
Yes, and actually, what you said, what year did you say?
82.
83. Damn, you were.
I was gonna go higher, but I'm like, I'm gonna keep it safe because it seems like it's right on the cusp of like late 70s, early 80s.
That was great. So if the trailer goes on, it's just really long. I knew you were gonna love the voice.
Fucking love it.
I knew that, but
Yeah.
it's if you go through, and the reason I had put the most let that go the longest is it's one of those trailers that says the title like 4 fucking times. Like it goes scalps, and then it like is scalps. A team of whatever unleashes blah 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 scalps, and then you're like, oh, that's the end of the trailer. No, and then this team of archaeologists don't know what they've unleashed. Scalps, and then it just like keeps going, and I'm like, all right, like we get it, like.
But just to let everyone know that's listening, and if you're watching, these types of trailers are the ones I want brought back immediately.
I want the voice back.
I want the voice back, and I want the overly detailed 7 times scalps.
And
then the amazing taglines interchanged each time he says something. I'm petitioning for this to come back.
I am 100% on board. I thought that was definitely one that I was like, man, I kind of do want to watch this now, to be honest with you.
I'm going to literally find it. I'm going to look and see where it's streaming because I want to watch this.
Okay, but before you watch that, I think you're going to want to check this one out because this is the one that I found, and I'm like, I'm going to keep drinking after we just turn this off, and I'm going to try and find this movie. All right, here comes the best movie ever made.
I'm so excited right now.
This is a bad motorcycle. It runs on blood. Unfortunately, the bike's previous owner is now dead.
No, is this?
It's a bit heavy for a crashed bike. Ah, the bike's not been crashed. The last owner didn't die.
So it's a talking motorcycle.
Is this called Zombie Bikes?
Nope.
Fuck.
So for the listeners, that demonic voice is a motorcycle talking to the audience.
It's amazing. Okay, I'm going to watch this one too.
Perhaps he should have suspected something when his best friend was found horribly murdered. I have to tell you.
This is so incredible. How did you find these?
I typed in craziest movie trailer and
Well, where is it now then?
Well, how the hell should I know?
I typed in craziest movie trailer and that brought up a bunch of stuff. And then I just found one that said like best 90s horror movie trailers. And I saw this title and I was like, holy shit.
This is amazing. Oh, he went right into a fucking coffin.
And they're performing an exorcism on the bike now as the bike is burning.
Is that a toilet? Oh my god.
There's a big
It's a turd.
Big talking piece of shit.
Okay, so I'm gonna say
all right, I think we get the idea, but
I think I want to change my profile picture to that fucking piece of shit. That is amazing.
Before you guess the year, can I tell you the title, which is why it caught my eye, and I was like, what the fuck is this?
Please enlighten me.
I Bought a Vampire Motorcycle is the name of this motion picture masterpiece.
How have I never heard of this until now?
It looks incredible.
You and I need to watch this one, Scalps, and then we need to come back and do an episode on those two.
I would be 100% okay with that because if either of these are on Tubi, they're getting watched tonight.
Holy fuck, I'm so pissed that I have to work because I totally would. My kid has a half day tomorrow. I would totally just call in and be like, I'm going to stay up all night and watch these movies. Now, just to be fair, because I am very truthful and I don't like to lie, but you said that this was a trailer from the 90s, correct?
Oh, I did. Well, okay. All right. Yes, I
So-
did say it. This is from I did click on a list that said best horror movies of the 90s or best horror trailers of the 90s. Yes.
Because I don't want to be like, oh, and then guess it. And then, but I'm going to say 91.
Very close. 1990 for this Oscar worthy movie.
Hey, Oscar worthy to us, maybe.
I guarantee I enjoyed it more than whatever won that year.
Oh my God. Those, I have to find them. I'm so glad that we did this because do you see this? This is literal cheek excitement. I'm so excited.
All right. I got 2 left. I forgot about scalps.
Oh.
I did not write scalps left. So I got 2 left here. This next one, I think there's aspects you're going to enjoy. I'm not going to play the whole thing because it is long, but I think there's aspects of this trailer you'll enjoy.
Okay. Oh.
Voodoo.
New, huh?
Oh, Corey Feldman.
Yep.
Andy Chadway, the gentlemen and scholars of Omega Zeta Mu. We need a new pledge. And you need a
Okay,
place to
again,
live.
how the
It's
fuck
true.
have I not
What do you
heard of
think
this?
joining
Or
us? It'd be great. You're in?
Get away from them now.
Yeah.
He'll kill you if you stay.
92.
Yeah. 95 on that one.
Damn it.
The trailer actually from there doesn't get much better. It kind of just seems like they're gonna perform some voodoo curse on him and he's marked. But I just loved the and here's the thing: the way I have to do this, I have to click the play before I can hit record. So I missed the V flying at the screen.
Thank you, because I was literally spelling in my head and I'm like, am I a fucking idiot? Because
You're like,
is it
Udu.
I'm like, oh, it's called Ooh.
Yeah, I mean, this is only my first time messing with this software, but I'm sure there's a way I can figure it out. But as of right now, I kind of have to miss the first like a second or two, and
Okay.
but I love the letters flying at the screen, and then I just love the voice voodoo, like aggressive too, like anger.
Well, I was trying to see what was going on with the dude because I'm like, okay, maybe it's like OD. Like, I didn't know if it had to do with needles because it was like OOD. And I'm like, are they like, is this a weird taking drug movie? And I don't know. I was trying, but you had me fooled because I'm like, I don't know if I can spell Udu.
You're like udon.
Udon noodles. Okay.
What's coming next here? Yeah, I thought that was good. And then the last one here, it's a one I have a personal connection to. So I just want to see if I mostly just want to show you the trailer, but under the guise of making you guess the year.
I'm excited.
Graduated this shit.
Fucking jerk off principal screwed me over. Bastards, I let me kill them all.
You sure that shit's in there, right?
Yep. So there's 2 criminals on screen. They're robbing a school of like $50. It looks like for the listener. They get sprayed with some chemicals, and now zombies.
Yes. Oh. Okay, so I'm gonna say, oh, her brains. What is this, like High School Zombie?
This is a film not far off, by the way. It's a film called Ghoul School.
Oh, I like that. Ghoul School. So I want to say Ghoul School was 88.
And this is the one you were the farthest off on. While it looks exactly like an 80s movie, this is from 1990. 1990. So no, you're not too far off. I thought it was 95. 1990.
Oh, I was like, it cannot be a 90s film, but
Yeah.
that's not too bad.
Yeah.
I am so happy that you showed me majority of these trailers just for my own personal fucking viewing experience. So thank you. Thank you.
Well, I just thought it'd be a fun experience to get some live reactions to us on this. And honestly, just because we have all these big aspirations for what we want to do in the video, this was kind
Yep.
of our first foray into it. And then also, I had to show somebody that would appreciate I bought a vampire motorcycle. So,
I don't know what's top of the list, that or scalps, because literally, like, scalps is still in my. I'm thinking about it right now.
scalps.
Scalps. I love it.
I thought it was great. Thank you for playing along with that. I hope
course.
if you played along at home, leave a comment. Let us know how you did, or which trailer was your favorite, and why
Yeah.
was it scalps, or I bought a teenage vampire motorcycle, or whatever the fuck it's called.
And please tell us how excited you are for the episode that we're already declaring now on scalps. And I bought a vampire motorcycle.
Yeah.
'Cause it's happening.
Yeah. Other than that, do you have anything that you want to touch on, or are we good?
I think we're good. I think that this was a fun episode. I definitely think that we need to do another decade. Maybe not as the next episode, but definitely we need to just count back the years. And then I think we need to propel forward.
Yeah.
At some point. So I think this was good. This was fun.
I think it could become a regular episode segment. I think like every couple episodes we could do something like this.
Absolutely. And also, like, give us your feedback. Let us know if you enjoyed the show. Make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel, Future Creatures DTF.
And rate and rate and subscribe to us on whatever podcast app you listen to. From what I'm
Yes.
told, that helps out the most, particularly if you're on Apple for some reason. I don't know why, but that has a bigger effect, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah, but yeah.
that was it. Like, if you could just kindly like our stuff and say that you like listening to us, that would be greatly appreciated. We appreciate all of you who have tuned in for the 3-hour episode. Yeah. I'm excited. This was fun tonight. So
it was a lot of fun. I'm glad we got this done, and we will, I guess, see you guys next week. And
yes.
thanks for checking us out.
Yes.
Bye.
Good night.